cap into baseball or not. Today they decided that, well,
apparently you're not American.
I don't want. No, I am American.
It's actually probably a little more anti-American.
We'll spend more time on that today because here's what I was told earlier today. By the way, Schaefer and Sliwa with you for the next 3 hours. Kevin Acee is joining us in 13 minutes. So I'm texting back and forth because everyone that's covering baseball is talking about the owners and the players union and what they've both proposed. And we're months out. This will play out for months and months. But everyone's talking about it because it's just been released over the last couple of days. I text Jesse Rogers from ESPN today, who's a friend of the show. He's been on the station 20 times at least. And I say, hey, can you come on? I'm sure it's busy, but could you come on? And he's like, maybe at 3:30. He said, try me then. And if I can, I can. If I can't, I can't. So anyway, Jesse Rogers with more on the story, if he can join us.
It's the talk of baseball. I mean, we're in the middle of the season. So just imagine the attention this will get when the season is over. Yeah. But by the way, are you surprised? I kind of like that they're already, hey, here's our plan. Hey, here's our plan. I know it's all strategic, but I like the early side of things.
You know what I don't love, Alan?
It's like the first quarter. We're about 6 minutes into the first quarter. That's what I would say.
But here's the thing. It's all for show. It's like, have you ever been to the Westminster Dog Show? Let me answer that. You haven't, nor have I.
I have yet to go.
But would you that's a show, right? Like, it's more about like literally fluff. I don't know where I'm going here. Here's where I'm going. I'm saying
can I give you the example? I think in the world of politics, like there's a lot of stuff. It's like there's a presser here. There's this. I don't care which side of the table you're on.
Right. Westminster Dog Show is a bad example.
Everyone has some kind of show that they're trying to sell.
So we're nowhere near like a finish line where it's like, yo, are you folding your hand or not? Like at the end of a no limit, you're at the end of the event. Like, are you folding your hand or not? We're nowhere near the end of the event. We're just starting this event. And here's what I mean. Here's the part I don't like about it. I saw it today from Bob Nightingale. The players union basically put out a statement or spoke with him. And they basically said they were flabbergasted by the idea that the owners would introduce a salary cap. That the last time one was introduced, baseball was stopped and we didn't have a World Series. So they were flabbergasted, even though you and I have been talking about this for 2 months, but the players union was caught off guard because the owners wanted to introduce the salary cap on day one. It's the least surprising thing ever.
Can I say, I think what one of the advantages is of getting, and probably one of the reasons why they're doing it this early, you also want to see what is the reaction going to be.
True.
And I think that, either the players union or the owners are asking, hey, is there more sympathy one side or the other? Is there, if we come out with 5 of these things, are there 2 people like, a couple people don't like? So I think that's going to be part of the reason I think why they might put something out. And some of it is as stupid as you just said. For the players union, I can't believe
it.
They would ask
even mention
for a salary cap.
Can you believe that?
This is unbelievable.
There's no way in their text chain last night the players like, can you believe it? I mean, they can believe it.
They're just like somebody reading the text like,
oh my gosh. You know what's funny, dude? After our conversation yesterday, and we're getting you ready for Padres Nationals. It is an important series because the Padres haven't scored.
I think it was May 9th.
I think Clinton
I think it was May 9th is the last time.
It's been forever. But what I was going to say, remember our conversation yesterday? We remember it, right? Talking about the reasons for or against the salary cap that we had for 45 minutes or more. I've figured it. I've solved everything since our conversation. Did you realize that? Everything is fixed. If the 2 sides come to me,
welcome aboard, buddy.
No, here's what I got.
Welcome to my side.
Let me tell you what I have.
What do you got?
Because I was reading more about this. Because in the owner's proposal, which includes the salary cap, is the pooling of media rights.
Right.
This is very polarizing, especially if you're locally here in San Diego and say, woe is me. What happened to Bally TV? Even when we had Bally or Fox Sports, we were only getting 60 million. The Dodgers, for example, were getting 300 million. And that is an actual, that's what was happening. The Dodgers still are getting 300 million. The Padres were getting 60. Now the Padres are getting less than that. But let's say we took all the local money, LA, New York, San Diego, Milwaukee, you just pulled it all together.
Split it amongst all 30.
And you split it evenly.
Yeah.
And from there, just keep a CBT and go where you want to go. Everyone's got an equal amount of TV money. Now, in stadium is different. San Diego is going to excel in stadium. Pittsburgh may not. So San Diego is going to be benefiting there. But if you're taking, and I'm making it up, if every team now averages 150 million, Some now are getting 30, some are getting 330. But if everyone's at 150, does that take away this necessity for a cap at the top?
Yeah, I still think you're going to need a cap. At the end of the day, all I want is I just don't want somebody with the ability to spend $100 and somebody with the ability to spend 25.
Right.
That's all.
So
that's
you want
that's yeah. At the end of the day, however you can get closer to that. By the way, the other thing too, and I have not seen, and I don't know if it's part of conversations or it's just not important right now, but the deferrals truly have been, like somebody was saying,
you on that.
The deferrals, and this is something that happens. It's like there's a loophole, and teams have now figured out how they can use that loophole to an advantage that nobody ever thought it was going to look like this. Clean that one up too.
I agree with you on that.
So there's some areas that I think when, they walk away from, it would be nice to, again, I get the point you were trying to make yesterday. At the end of the day, maybe you don't walk into a sporting event and say to yourself, you know what I really want? A competitive balance. And you have like a sign out there that says competitive balance.
This game is 6-1. I wish it was 5-4.
And there are people chanting in the crowd, competitive balance,
right.
competitive balance.
Yeah.
I get that. That's not what you walk in. But I think for me, and maybe this is just, again, I understand the position that the Padres are in, the division that they're in. I think you're right about we're arguing one team.
A lot of it goes back to
a lot of it because they all ran so well.
Right.
Like, honestly, that's what it is.
And they spend so much.
If you took that ownership group today and everybody moved to New York, and the Yankees, they are now running the Yankees, we would probably shift our attention and say, well, it's the Yankees is why you got to change baseball. But it's also, it hits so close to home in San Diego. That's another reason why it's like elevated.
It also speaks to the importance of just ownership in general, because now that we've got this new group running the Padres, we're not overly familiar yet with what it's going to look like. You don't have to go that far back, even in the history of the Dodgers, when they were being run by the McCourts, when it was being run into the ground.
Sure.
Now it's not, because it's being run exactly for the Padres, right? But how is Jose Feliciano and Kwanzaa Jones going to run this club? Because it starts there. We could talk about AJ Preller in the club. That matters too, but it starts there.
You're 1,000% right. But let's just say they have the best intentions.
Yep.
And they want what's in the best interest of San Diego, and they want to win. Okay. Like, let's just, and I don't know if it's an advantage, but he lives in LA. Right?
He does.
Is there a piece of him that gets to see, like, look how dominant this brand is? But even if he wants all the right things, can he still be a businessman and say, yeah, it just does not make sense financially to do some of the things that we're doing in San Diego? Does that mean that he doesn't care about winning?
No, it's a fair point. And that's where you're saying some of the inequities get in the way of his ability to win.
Because you can have people that want to compete but don't know how. You can have people that want to compete, but have too much of an ego and want all the credit, so they're not hiring the best person for that position. But you can also have people that want to compete and just say, brother, if they're 5-1 on me,
how am I supposed to?
I mean, I got to be perfect. I don't have, there's all of this has to work out perfect. And the Padres haven't been perfect. I'm not here to make a case that they have been.
No, and even without being perfect, I mean, they've had good teams, but we're still waiting on that great team to truly.
But do you know how they got good teams? They got good teams because they just kept throwing everything all in. That is not a good long-term strategy.
Can't do it for forever.
And we're going to taste that.
Potentially.
We're going to have to taste that here over these next few years.
Potentially. All right, let's get ready for this afternoon. Padres Nationals Game 1 of this 3-game series. Kevin Acee live from Nationals Park. Padres trying to snap a 4-game losing streak. Coming up later this afternoon, Kevin joins us live next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, let's catch up with our Padres Insider Kevin Acee, live from our nation's capital as the Padres get set for game one of their 3-game series against the Nats. It's a bit of like a reunion of sorts. You look on the Washington side, you see C.J. Abrams and James Wood. Craig Stammen spent a good portion of his career with the Nationals, other members of the coaching staff as well. Kevin, I wanted to start with, like, is this a good spot? We've said this a lot. Like, oh, they're going to Mexico City or they're going to Colorado. It's a good spot for their offense. But is this a good weekend for the offense to turn things around? When you look at just the Nationals in general, their pitching struggles are pretty significant, and this has always been a pretty good hitter's yard as well. So will we see some offense this weekend?
You're asking me? But the answer to your question, your first question, your overall question is yes. There's a lot of reasons, like, I mean, the pitching that they're facing and the pitching they're not facing, right? Like, it's not what they faced on this homestand, or at least a good portion of this homestand. And it's the kind of team that they should beat, right? Like, the Nationals have a really good offense. They got some good young players. They're playing hard. They don't play good defense. They make mistakes, and they don't pitch very well. The Padres are supposedly a playoff team. Yes, they should come in here and play well.
Kevin, just looking at, I know it's always, this is going to be a process that plays out for years to come, but you look back at that Juan Soto trade, C.J. Abrams and James Wood obviously doing some just phenomenal things so far with the Nationals. When you go back to when that trade happened and then kind of where we're sitting today, just is you keeping track of what some of these other guys are doing on the other side? Like, how much do you follow that, and how much do you, I guess, pay attention to, well, this is what the Juan Soto trade turned into, and this is what the players that they gave away have become?
Absolutely. It's one of the things that fascinates me, is looking back on trades and watching how they evolve. I mean, John knows this, that I could talk about trades and A.J. Preller's philosophy on trades and how they've worked out and the good and the bad. I could do that forever, because I mean, it's fascinating. There's no black and white to it. And certainly right now you look at it and you go, wow, you would have to value Michael King and Randy Vasquez really highly, and have really appreciated what Kyle Higashioka and Dylan Cease did to say that the Padres won that trade. That's what you would have to say right now, because if you're living in the moment, you would, be like, wait a minute, look what James Wood and C.J. Abrams are doing. Wow. Padres sure could use that, and that's totally true. And we can go back and forth on that. I absolutely, I don't know, if you're asking me if I would do that trade over again, I mean, that trade was high on the list. Bringing Juan Soto to San Diego in the middle of a pennant race in 2022, when they were still establishing who they were, is high on the list, along with Manny Machado, the emergence of Fernando Tatis Jr., and a few other things, in terms of establishing the Padres locally, nationally, building their fan base. I believe John was there that night when Soto made his debut. It was one of the most magnificent nights at Petco Park ever. And the electricity is what I'm talking about. And the fact that the Padres have not only been in the playoffs 4 times in 6 years for the first time in their history, yes, that's building a following. But having named players is building a following. And it's not A.J. Preller's fault that Juan Soto had the worst 950 OPS in the history of baseball. I'm joking, but it was pretty bad. Pretty empty calories there in 2023. And I love what A.J. Preller has done to salvage, I guess would be a word for that trade, in terms of turning it into Michael King, Randy Vasquez, Kyle Higashioka, even Dylan Cease. Every couple of years, I do a trade tree. And here's what this guy became and this guy became. Here's why this trade, wasn't so good, and how this trade might be better than you think, and all that. And I'm sorry for the long answer, I love talking about A.J. Preller's trades.
Ken, let me just one quick follow-up there. Do you feel like the way they were doing business back then is still the right way of doing business today? And listen, we could just go back to last summer when they obviously traded for Mason Miller. So clearly he has no problem going all in on a player. But let's just say they're in a similar situation this upcoming summer. Record is similar. They still feel like they're fighting here. Do you believe in that philosophy still of how A.J. Preller has built this roster?
I do, and I believe AJ does, and I believe that he has largely the backing of the people that he works for and the people that he will work for in that regard, because it has been proved to be, to keep them going, to keep them, relevant, to keep them as perennial playoff contenders. Now, might it change at some point? might the people in charge say, hey, you know, let's look and maybe do things a little differently in terms of if you really believe in this guy. And by the way, there are people that they really believed in that they brought to the majors. No, only a couple,
True.
but that they haven't traded. Could that change? Because there was a thought by some in the organization that that's how they should do business. But I think for now they're perfectly willing this trade deadline to chase another, to chase a championship again.
Kevin Acee with us right now, our Padres Insider. I guess to follow down that path, maybe I might have asked you about, I forget, Kevin, if we're doing it on the Padres Collective, we're doing it here. The idea of Ethan Salas being moved, like that's a polarizing topic in itself, just like the idea of moving Leo DeVries was very polarizing. You don't see a player as off limits under AJ Preller's realm, right? Someone like Ethan Salas, if the right situation presents itself, could be on his way out, correct?
Yeah, I think it would have to. Right situation is in bold and underlined for Ethan Salas, right? Yeah. Like I do. But look, Salas was talked about this in various scenarios. I don't think it got close, but in various scenarios this offseason. Schoolcraft was talked about in various scenarios. I don't think that really anybody is off limits. They talk about players in different tiers, and the only guy who was in the absolute top tier who got traded, and that was after, some flaws had developed, and maybe they saw that he, wasn't everything they thought he was going to be. It was Mackenzie Gore. There was a time when Mackenzie Gore was untouchable, and he got traded. But that was, look, he was having a really good year that year, his rookie year. But they saw some flaws there, but other than that, there's been Merrill and Tatis, and they're here. So that doesn't mean they didn't love James Wood. Didn't mean they didn't love Leo DeVries, who was very close to untouchable. But there's just only a couple guys that have ever truly been untouchable in AJ Preller's mind.
Kevin, I know this as kind of more big picture.
By the way, Merrill almost was, I'm not saying he almost was traded, but he was on the verge. So you can almost argue Tatis is the only guy who was untouchable.
I know this is more big picture conversation. And again, a lot of this has to do, you're playing the National, so you're seeing a couple of these other youngsters that are making it happen that were part of the Soto deal. But I've heard AJ Preller say this before. I've heard him say that the roster and the team determine just how aggressive they are at the deadline. Yeah. It makes sense, right? I mean, what do you think they have to, where do you think they have to be? I know we got a ways to go before the deadline for him to be convinced that, hey, this is, again, let's move our pieces. And I think you said something earlier that's so important. It also, it depends on the window that you're in. Clearly, the Padres are in a window where they're trying to win right now. So I'm sure they're trying to be a little bit more aggressive. But what do you think the team has to look like, whether a record perspective or where they are to where you think AJ Preller is aggressive again?
I'm going to bring up, for instance, in 2021, I'm trying to look the exact, but they were well above 500 in 2021. Let's say that the deadline, they were 10 games over, right? And leading up to that, they were even a few games more, over 500. And they made a run, and there was a point where they thought they were close on getting Scherzer and Trey Turner. Mm-hmm. But they ended up not doing anything, basically, at that trade deadline. Maybe a few things. Because there was a thought that if they couldn't get those two guys, that their pitching just wasn't going to hold out. And so he didn't make a move, even though they were that far over. 2023, they were not over 500, but they were still technically contending. I mean, you could see them making a move, but didn't do anything at the trade deadline because, just didn't feel like that was in the cards. So it's really about, are they in position, but also what has Preller and the staff, his staff, what do they think of the Padres' place among the other contenders? And so if they're 7 games over, but Manny's still batting $170, which no one expects, but if he is, I'd be surprised if they did something. I do. What are they going to do? Go out and get a third baseman? I would be surprised if they did something. That's my educated speculation on talking to people. But we are more than 2 months away. So I always want to have that asterisk. But it's really about how are they playing And 2019, the players were upset at the time that they didn't do anything. As a matter of fact, they traded away one of their favorite teammates, Franmil Reyes. They didn't do anything because AJ Preller knew that they sucked. So it's really about, how are they playing in AJ Preller's eyes?
Well, they need to start hitting between now and July 31st or August 3rd, whenever it is. Because I agree with you. I mean, if you got a collection of stars not hitting, you're not going to save them at the trade deadline. Kevin, appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend in D.C. I'm on the road next week, but you're going to catch up with Alan next week here on Schaefer and Sliwa.
Finally.
One-on-one. You and I, Kevin. One-on-one.
Finally. Enjoy the weekend, Kevin. Thank you, man.
Yeah.
All right, we may catch up.
That's good. That's good conversation.
And we may talk to Jesse Rogers at ESPN about the union and the owners and where these proposals stand right now, looking at the next collective bargaining agreement in baseball. He may join us on the other side.
Find out.
Jesse Rogers from ESPN, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The Padres are in D.C. getting set for their series against the Nationals tonight. It's going to be Lucas Giolito going against Paxton Schultz. First pitch is set for about 15 minutes from now at 3:45. No NBA tonight, but we got a game 7 tomorrow night in the Western Conference Finals between the Spurs and Thunder. That will tip off after 5 o'clock. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, appreciate Jesse Rogers at ESPN taking a few minutes for us here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. Obviously a busy time to cover Major League Baseball both on and off field. So Jesse, we appreciate you taking a few minutes for us. You've been reporting on this. I guess I would start with this. What's the most surprising part of what you've seen so far in these proposals, whether from the Players Union or from the MLB side? Is anything that you've seen so far surprising?
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would say the league proposing that floor of 171 million kind of opened some people's eyes. Like, wow, I didn't think it'd be that high, but I think that was very strategic, right? To get people on their side a little bit, maybe even get some players on their side. Hey, we're going to force all these teams, 12 of them, to spend up to 171 million at least. And obviously the top is low. 245 is kind of a low number when you consider, the 8 teams above it. So that part is still something to negotiate. But the 171 was a pleasant surprise, but I think it was strategic. It was like, hey, we're going to show you we're serious about this and see what you guys think about it. But the problem is we're talking apples and oranges. The union just doesn't believe in a cap system. Nothing they presented were that surprising to me. I mean, there's a lot of player compensation things and a little bit about, addressing the payroll disparity, trying to get those lower revenue teams to spend more. So the union didn't really surprise me, but certainly that 171 number from the league was kind of surprising.
Jesse, I'm not sure if you go across the country and you ask people in all these different baseball markets what they love, what they hate. For me, I think there's just one thing that sticks out is how do we just have a little bit more of a balance from a competition perspective? I get the players want to make as much money as they possibly can. Completely understand that. Do you see a world where from a payroll perspective that somebody that walks into a season, there just isn't this much of a discrepancy without a salary cap?
No, I don't. And it's probably going to get worse. It's not like the Dodgers are going to stop spending or Steve Cohen's going to stop spending. It's probably going to get worse. I mean, look, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but the other 3 professional sports leagues have them and seem to be thriving. Though Tarek Skubal said to me today, if you talk to players in those leagues, they don't like their systems. But I'm not really talking about players. I'm talking about the leagues themselves seem to be thriving with some form of parity and balance. I mean, the NFL is the greatest example. In no world could Green Bay Packers exist if there was no cap. Right? So, again, but I also understand the other side. I think we all do. Would you and I would we love a cap on our business if we can only spend this much on media people? Nobody likes a cap, but we don't live in a world where parity is part and parcel to the existence of the league. Competition within professional sports is important to have. You just can't have one team dominating, which we're seeing right now. So it is different than anything outside of sports. I'm trying to not be on the league side because those are billionaires, right? Like, you don't want to totally take their side, but if you eliminate billionaires and millionaires and just look at parity and competitive balance, it does feel like the other leagues have it. And the one part, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, the one part on the union that I don't buy is we have competitive balance because look at how many small markets compete. Well, look, I'm based in Chicago. There's basically 8 small markets in the AL and NL Central, right? Just Chicago is the only big one. And so every year they're sending teams to the playoffs or at least contending for the playoffs by definition. So I don't buy that there's enough small market teams competing, because you're going to have automatically a bunch competing in the Midwest for sure. So that's my kind of long-winded take on it.
It's really good insight from Jesse Rogers at
Shed a
ESPN.
tear. I agree with Jesse wholeheartedly.
Here's my question for you, Jesse. In 1994, we all know how this ends.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there was no World Series. There was the threat of a salary cap, and then we had the long strike and lockout situation. Is it different this time around? I mean, it's been so long since then, but like, what they didn't get done in 1994, could it get done in 2026? Or will once again the union draw the hard line and say, like they did in 1994, there will be no cap in baseball?
No, I think it's possible. You have to at least believe that it's possible if you're on the league side. One thing is the other three sports have been somewhat thriving. In other words, under their systems, there's been no work stoppages as of late. I think it's been over a decade. Yeah, over a decade since one of them had one. The cap is going up, and NBA players on the bench are making millions. A lot of people are doing well in those other systems. Not everybody. I agree with Scooble. It's not like, look, between a cap or no cap, players are going to want no cap. I get that. I totally get that. I think the league is a little bit smarter than 94 and a little more savvy. I mentioned throwing out the 171 number as the floor, that gains support. I think the next thing they will do or should do is either propose or leak, either one, what they want to do for young players in this sport. Because you have to remember, only 25% of players play 6 years or more in this game and get to free agency. 75% are done after like 4 or 5 years. So if you can incentivize those young players coming up, hey, instead of $750,000, you're going to make $2.5 million as a minimum, and then in year 2, that's going to bump up to $3.5 million. I mean, remember, from the league standpoint, if there's a cap, it's a finite amount of money. So it doesn't matter who gets it in their eyes. They don't care. But to get players on their side, you got to work through those young players, not the stars, because the stars are going to say no. But guys can make 10, 12 million in the span of 3 or 4 years, possibly, before their career is over. That's, I think, the way the league's going to try to work this thing.
Yeah, Jesse, it's interesting. And I know every market's going to look at it from their perspective. Obviously, in San Diego, we're in the NL West. We're seeing what the Dodgers are doing. And listen, I always try to say this, that even if there's a cap tomorrow, I think the Dodgers are run well. And I think the Dodgers will still be competitive. And I think the Dodgers will still compete for World Series. But, obviously it makes it so much harder for other squads to try to compete with that, because they have 5, 7, 10 different outs where it doesn't feel like other teams do. One of the things I don't think is getting talked about, and I have no idea how much of a conversation this is there any discussion about deferrals and what deferrals meant X amount of years ago to how they're being used today? I've heard somebody say that, hey, this is kind of a loophole in the system that teams have taken advantage of, specifically the Dodgers. What is the thought on the deferrals?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure. I do know for existing contracts, the league will bend over backwards to grandfather them in, to phase this whole thing in. If the union agrees to a cap, the league will do whatever it takes to get them there, even if it takes 3 years. So that's for existing contracts. I would assume in a cap system, if there are deferrals, the full amount goes against you on the cap, right? Because otherwise that's a way around the cap system. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if they're going to just say no to deferrals, or yes, but you can pay out as long as you want in the future, but the full amount is going to hurt you on the cap, because that's the only way you could do it.
Right.
So I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know the answer to some of those particulars. But the big picture, the league will do whatever it takes to get this thing through across the finish line. I think is something we should keep in mind, and it benefits players and it doesn't, because, like I said, it's still a finite number of dollars. So the league doesn't care how it's split up. And that's why I think younger players would be interested in getting more of the pie. And then the leftover, I don't know if it's the leftovers for the younger players or the leftovers for the stars, because everyone's got a different perspective on it. But that's what the league is thinking.
Jesse, my final question would just be about the idea of pooling TV revenue, right? Like putting all the local revenue together and then equally distributing it for the clubs. If you were able to get that across the finish line, would that then still require a salary cap? Because at that point, you're giving the Pittsburgh Pirates a similar amount of television revenue or identical revenue, it seems like the New York Yankees.
So that's an interesting point. And so this is my answer and theory on this. I think that's the trade-off. In other words, if the Dodgers are going to give up their TV money, the Dodgers actually want a cap. And I think honestly, Steve Cohen and Hal Steinbrenner want a cap so they can save themselves from themselves. Because when you run a team in a big market, you have pressure to sign free agents. And the Yankees are required to go after every single one, at least discuss it. So are the Dodgers, and so are the Mets. That's the pressure of the fan base, and the Cubs are in that class as well. And I think with a cap, they're let off the hook a little bit, and maybe rightly so. I mean, should they be signing every big name free agent for 10 years and $400 million? That usually ends badly, and probably will with the Phillies, for example, soon enough. So I think the big markets want the cap as much as anyone. And I'll go as far as to say, and I know Andrew Friedman pretty well. I don't know the answer to this. I wonder if he wants to compete on the same level playing field as everyone else to prove that his systems and processes aren't just about money, that we can win this with the same similar payroll that the Marlins and the Rays and everyone else. I think that deep down, he wants that opportunity again. He had it in Tampa. Now he's had money. They've won with it. I think he wants to do it without some money too, just to prove that he can.
That's such an interesting point, Jesse, because I think there is, and it's the reason why I pointed it out. From the beginning, I've said this and I'll say it again. The Dodgers are obviously ran well. And to go get Andrew Friedman and put him in your front office was a very smart move by Dodgers ownership. But I think what you said there at the end, I'm sure there's a piece of a lot of fans out there saying, well, are you buying a championship? Are you this? I mean, whether they should care about that or not, that's, obviously that's debatable. But that's such an interesting point that in a weird way, he'd love to prove that he can do it even with an equal playing field. That's interesting. I've never heard that one before.
His analogy, when you ask him how do the small markets like Milwaukee and even Tampa when he's there, how did they get it done? The way he speaks about it is pretending like you're a doctor. In LA, he has to be a doctor of the whole body. He has to be an expert on the whole body. In Tampa or Milwaukee, you just have to be an expert on one part of the body. Be a knee expert. Be the best knee doctor there is in the country. And if you can do that and succeed, you can win. And the analogy with the knee might be analytics. Be the best at analytics or be the best at player development. And you think, well, why can't everybody do that? Because they don't have to do that. They have money to spend on players. So I think he wants to be a knee doctor again. I really do. I think he wants to deep down just be that guy with player development or acquisition and show everybody that the Dodgers can win a different way.
Jesse, a fabulous insight for our listeners. Really appreciate you taking time. We know it's going to be a busy year on and off field covering this story in Major League Baseball as well. But thank you so much for taking time for us in San Diego.
You got it, guys. Be well.
Thank you.
Great stuff from Jesse Rogers. All right.
There's hope.
I mean, absolutely. From what he said, if you're in favor of a cap, there is hope for it. But I still think, and I think he recognized it there as well, is that there is no guarantee here because we don't know how the two sides volley back and forth. What are the concessions that sides are willing to make?
We'll go to break here, but when we come back, I don't know if I completely agree on the Friedman Dodger stuff, but we can hit on that coming back.
Plus, we've touched on this a little bit with Kevin Acee earlier. The good, the bad, and the ugly of AJ Preller at trade deadlines or making trades. As general manager of the San Diego Padres, we're getting ready for Game 7 tomorrow as well between the Spurs and the Thunder.
They're
giveaways.
Playing?
We've got really good giveaways today. 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. We'll tell you how to win those tickets coming up in the 4 o'clock hour on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, we've got a 4-pack of tickets to give away to the San Diego County Fair. And Alan's got something he wants to tell our listeners as well.
All right, America is turning 250 years old, and San Diego Sports 760 is celebrating with $250,000 in cash. Starting Monday, listen for your chance to win $2,500 so you can take the ultimate American getaway and visit the states, cities, landmarks, and national parks that make our country amazing. Win your share of $250,000. Just listen for the keyword, then enter it at sportssd.com starting Monday at 8 a.m.
We'll let you know how to win the 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. So we'll tell you how to win those tickets.
There you go.
To the San Diego County Fair at the top of the 4 o'clock hour. You made a really interesting point about our conversation there with Jesse Rogers at ESPN. He works with Jeff Passan, covering the sport both on and off the field. You said what kind of struck you was how much common sense he had in the conversation about a cap coming to Major League Baseball as these two sides go back and forth.
Yeah, I'll keep saying it. And it doesn't mean it benefits the Padres 100%. It doesn't mean that the Padres all of a sudden become, you've made a good point. Like, hey, if you got an equal playing field, there could be a real shot now that you got obviously a lot of other squads that are now in the mix. Yep. And now maybe making the postseason is going to be that much more difficult. But to me, there's a lot of common sense to what he's saying. Now, he could look at the other sports. I had some people on YouTube that were saying, are you sure that the NBA is thriving? Listen, I'm not telling you the NBA is perfect because it's not. And I think people making fair points on there. It's like, look, you might have viewership that's down. You might have this that's down. The new deal that they just put together, the $77 billion streaming NBA this deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I know not all sports are created equal, so I don't want to just say, well, the NBA is doing this and that's why they should do it. The NFL is doing this. This is why Major League Baseball should do it. But I think just the main theme I take away from everything that he just said, don't you want parity in your sport? Don't you want that competitive balance? And that's the only thing that I'm fighting for, or that I'm pushing for when it comes to this.
The most fascinating part of the conversation to me was this idea. We haven't heard it from the clubs directly. This idea that actually the Yankees and the Mets and the Red Sox actually want the cap because they don't want to go down this rabbit hole chasing every free agent, but they're almost required to because of the market that they're in. They'd rather have controlled spending than go about it the way they're going about it. And I kind of recognize that. That's an interesting way he put it. Like that even the Yankees and the Dodgers may not want it. They're just almost required to do it because their fan base requires them to chase down every free agent.
Here's where I disagree on that. I think if you're the Dodgers, why would you want it?
Why would you want the cap?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
I agree.
I think if you're the Dodgers, first off, we'll go back to what we said in the beginning. You got to give credit where credit's due. They ran well. Period. You know how I know they ran well?
How?
Is because on top of whatever free agents they go look at their farm system, and they're always top 5 in the farm system, right? So like they have this ability. Now it's different. Maybe they could also say, yeah, well, we just don't have to worry about our farm system because we can just go get whoever the hell we want. And we could just allow our farm system to crop and go get a Pajes or a Will Smith or one of these other guys that come through the system. But if you're the Dodgers, I think you have such an advantage because you have the ability to spend as much money as you want. I don't see. Do you think the Dodgers right now feel pressure from their fan base? Like they're in the mix. Now, if they didn't win those 2 World Series, maybe that's a little bit different. But I don't know if I completely agree with some of these big markets don't want the ability to spend. Maybe the Red Sox, maybe the Cubbies,
right?
Maybe some of these other markets that their front office hasn't been as successful,
but not necessarily the Dodgers.
Just don't think the Dodgers. Dodgers are kind of on their own island.
Remember this: the MLB proposal, Alan, includes the LA Dodgers. Think about that. Like the Dodgers only have. It's kind of like the difference between the Senate and the House. I'm gonna take you on a politics lesson, which I'm not going to be able to provide. But you know, like Wyoming, they've got the same number of senators than California. So, like the Dodgers only have 1/30 of the votes when it comes to whatever the MLB owners are trying to vote on. Like the Dodgers can't just put their foot down and be like, we don't want a salary cap. Well, if the other if 27 clubs do want one, then their voice is only 1/30 of the overall vote. The Andrew Friedman thing is interesting. He spent 10 years in Tampa.
Sure.
Now he didn't win a World Series, and he went from one side of the coin to the other, literally going from Tampa to LA. Like, would he
he was living in a studio like a studio apartment, and then now he's with an organization where they're like, here's this mansion.
Yeah, like
whatever the hell you need.
So I wonder, like, would he want to eat? Because when you're in Tampa, it's not an equal playing field because you don't have the same amount of cards in the deck. In LA, you argue you have more cards in the deck. And then would a middle ground for someone like Andrew Friedman be, well, let's just have an equal playing field and see if we can win at this level as well? Is that what Andrew Friedman wants?
I think the point he was trying to make is there's got to be a part. Let's separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the ownership of the Dodgers gives a flying you-know-what if Andrew Friedman's like, let me prove it to everybody.
Yeah, either do I.
Neither do I think their fan base is like, hey, let's prove it to everybody. Right? Now, listen, if they did get one with a salary cap, that does kind of add this additional element. Hey, even with that, the Friedman one, maybe Friedman's like, hey, what do I have left to prove? Maybe this would be the one element that I have left. But again, I think they're trying to get a three-peat. Like, so the conversation is no longer about you're trying to get one World Series. And then it's like, well, there hasn't been anybody back-to-back since the Yankees. Now the conversation. So every one that you get, I don't think you're like, well, that's it. We got one.
You know what?
Even us, I'm telling you right now, I swear on my life, and I'll say it, and I always do. I just want one, right?
Oh, of course.
I just want one.
It's not about three now.
I just want one.
Yeah.
But you know what would happen if they got one?
You'd want another.
Of course.
No, 100%. By the way, you know what I think owners are actually rooting for this year to happen, play out on field?
Okay.
I think ownership groups, not all of them. I bet there's a lot that want the Dodgers to win the World Series. Why? Because it further cements the narrative or point, we need a salary cap in the sport. I think if the Tampa Bay Rays win this World Series, I think it's very easy. It's very easy for the narrative to say it's not necessary. I think if the Dodgers win this World Series, we're not rooting for it.
Yeah.
But I think if they do, it further nails home the point that it's a prerequisite.
Do you need that to win a World Series? Like, does
no? I don't.
I know, but let's go back to let's say the Dodgers flamed out in the divisional round.
Sure, they've done it. I mean, there was the Arizona series, there was the Padres
it's all
series.
Happened before Shohei.
Yes,
when Shohei came,
it hasn't happened.
Then it became this 300 here, 150 there. 100%. Like they also. Once they got Shohei, it went to a different level as far as expenditure, and probably all that is because Shohei is also so profitable, or you have the deferrals, or whatever the case is, right? But just to kind of go back to it, do we need, like, if let's just say they were out in the divisional round, does that not mean that they're not going to be favorites next year and that they're winning the NL West? And like,
doesn't
I don't know
but
it really
I think
changes
the perception.
Anything. You're right on the perception.
If the Milwaukee Brewers win a World Series, the perception is
sure. I agree with that.
That is the salary cap required to win at the highest level in Major League Baseball?
That's fair.
We'll get to the wrap on the other side. We'll tell you how to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Tons in store for the next 2 hours. Don't go anywhere. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The Padres are in Washington, starting their series with the Nationals. It's Lucas Giolito going against Paxton Schultz. Right now, we are in the bottom of the first inning, and the Padres have an early 1-0 lead over the Nationals. We have no NBA playoffs today, but we got Game 7 in the Western Conference Finals tomorrow night between the Spurs and Thunder. That will tip off after 5 o'clock. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, hour 2, Schaefer and Sliwa. Hour 2, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're going to get to the wrap, Alan, in a moment. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. We have an amazing giveaway today. It's a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair, which, by the way, kicks off in like days, June 10th in Del Mar. We're not far off. If you want to win the tickets, what if we run back yesterday's question? Because we didn't play that many talkbacks on air because you're on remote out at Novo in Otay Ranch. What if we just run back the question of, do you want a salary cap in baseball and play some of those on air and then announce a winner?
Can we also, I mean, you could even add this. You could ask the question of like, what is one change you would make that you'd want to see in baseball?
Okay.
Right. So it could be the salary cap. Maybe people are going to say deferrals. Maybe people are going to say something else. I mean, maybe people are going to go with what you said. It's a floor. No, I think the floor is the problem. We could kind of open that up to, a bunch of different ways, but that's obviously right now and will continue to be an ongoing conversation around Major League Baseball.
Could the one change, by the way, be like, I want to see, like, could it be something on field related? Like, I want more ABS. I want expanded postseason. I want pitch clock that already exists. Or is this all like more labor related?
Let's keep it labor related.
Keep it labor related.
Because next week we're going to have more of these, probably.
That's a good point. That's
take all our questions away.
All right. So one change you'd want to see in baseball. If you weigh in on that, you're automatically eligible to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Here's how to weigh in on the talkback mic. Open the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the red microphone icon, and tell us one change you'd want to see in baseball to be eligible for a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. All right, we're going to hear, if you missed JD Wicker, by the way, we had him on yesterday from Novo, Brazil. You'll hear that coming up later this hour, but right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Will the Padres win the series against the Nationals? They're up 1-0 now.
Yeah, they got to get, especially you got Philadelphia coming up next. By the way, I don't know if you've looked a little bit here, but the schedule's going to get a lot tougher here between now and the All-Star break. So it's going to be some good competition for the Padres, see kind of where they're at, some good, I guess, barometer games and everything else. The Nationals are not a threat in the NL. You got to get 2 or 3 from the Nationals because the next team that you play, the Philadelphia Phillies, just swept you, and you got Christopher Sanchez again, I believe, probably in that first game. I think they take 2 or 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they get right actually on this road trip. I really do. I think they actually go 4-2 on this road trip through Philadelphia and DC. Again, the Nats series is underway. They played terribly at home. They did. I mean, there's no other way to look at it. They were 3-6, and they couldn't score. I think they get right. I hope they get right on this road trip. The one thing with the Nationals, I will say,
this first one seems very important too.
Their offense is good, the Nationals, but their pitching hasn't been good. Their defense hasn't been good. I think the Padres get right this road trip. Next question.
What's the impact of Jalen Williams being out for Game 7?
I don't think it's a big impact. It's only not a big impact because they haven't played with him all year. He's played about 35 games, maybe around there. If you include the playoffs, I don't know what that number is, but it's not much. I hate that he's not a part of it. I hate, you know what's not a fair storyline? the Oklahoma City Thunder are playing with arguably their playing without their arguably their second best player, and nobody wants to talk about that. They just want to talk about how the team flops or whatever the case is. So I don't think it's going to be a big impact for Game 7 because they're accustomed to playing without him. I think it's probably even more difficult for them to try to play with him. He played 10 minutes yesterday. He had 1 point. Right. So I don't think it's going to have a significant impact in Game 7 specifically.
Completely agree. He's a great player. He hasn't been healthy, unfortunately. I think Oklahoma City has proven they can win without him. I'm really looking forward to this game. It should come as no surprise that he's not playing Game 7. I think the surprise was he actually did play.
Played yesterday.
That's the surprise to me. Next question.
Can we have competitive balance without a salary cap in baseball?
Maybe there's a way to get there. I find it difficult. I say no. I think the parity that I'm looking for, and I think a lot of other markets are looking for, probably only comes with a salary. I'm good with the floor as well. If that's, one way of trying to get some of these players paid more, I think that's very fair. I think, they're going to have to figure something out with these deferrals as well. That just doesn't seem like, again, I'll go back to it, probably a loophole that they never expected. And now teams are saying, hey, we take advantage of this, might as well do it. I don't see a world that you can have some real competitiveness. Maybe I'm just saying all this because the Dodgers are ran so well and they have an unlimited budget. But yeah, I don't think it's possible.
I do agree that you're going to get closer or you'll get there quicker, obviously, by instituting a salary cap. Are there other things, though, that could be entertained to potentially increase the amount of balance in the sport? I think there are. But, again, the way to get there probably soonest or quicker is what these other leagues have done. And there'll still be haves and have-nots. There'll still be well-run organizations, to your point. There'll still be poorly run organizations. Let's see if we get there. It'll be a really fascinating thing to watch.
And it's going to be just this slow drip.
Oh, it's going to be a slow drip, dude. You're not going to get it. We're not getting answers on this November 9th.
What's the date of this?
It's in May.
Yesterday was the first time, May 28th. And look how it obviously all, here we are sitting here today. And it's like,
dude, think about November for us and December. You know what creates action? It's when the threat of games being lost is actually on the table.
And
that's what creates action.
We're 9 months from that.
9 months. Yeah, you could have a child between now and then. I mean, not you and I, but significant others could. Next question.
Will Game 7 be a good game?
Game 7 be a good game.
All right, so Spurs Thunder tomorrow. I think the fact that we already have a Game 7 is phenomenal. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a good game.
Interesting.
Okay, let me put this the right way. I think the average the average game has been like 15 points. The margin has been like 15 huge. Points. No, I'm going to flip here. They had a really good Game 1. I think they close out the series with a good Game 7.
Just listen to this. The game since Game 1, that went double overtime. The margin was 7 in the end, but the margin since Game 2 was 9. Game 3 was 15. Oklahoma City won that game. They lost Game 4. Oklahoma City did by 21. They won Game 5 by 13. Oklahoma City lost last night by 27 and sat everyone in the fourth quarter.
So it's probably around that. Yeah, it's probably around that mark.
It's a big number in this series, but I do agree with you.
I think it's going to be good.
I think most fans would tell you, hey, I've enjoyed this. I'm getting to see the Spurs and the Thunder and a young rivalry brewing here.
Yep. I hope good storylines. I think the Wemby piece of it. I mean, obviously the Shane Oklahoma City Thunder role players stepping up. I think the series has been great. I think I'm going to say it's good. And I think we're going to get a good Game 7 tomorrow.
Let me ask you this. What do you think the betting line is? I have looked. It is available at DraftKings right now. What do you think the betting line is for tomorrow? The Thunder and the Spurs from Oklahoma City.
All right, I'm going to pick between here. I think the lowest it will be. I'll go 4.5.
Thunder.
Yeah.
At home, minus 4.5.
Yep.
In Game 7.
Mm-hmm.
They were 6.5 point favorites in Game 1, 7.5 point favorites in Game 2. They were 3.5 point favorites at home in Game 5. They are 3.5 point favorites in Game 7 at DraftKings right now.
3.5.
3.5 minus 162 to win the game, so a favorite, but only 3.5 points.
I would have given them a little bit. I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised. I thought they'd give them a little bit more love there.
That's gone down within the hour because when Sammy's show was on, it was 4.5.
Okay, so from maybe 4.5 to 3.5. I just honestly, dude, I'm more concerned. I want that game to be a good game. I care more about it being a good game than I don't want to see a blowout into the NBA Finals. Like, I want to see a good 7th game.
I don't know. I don't
series.
believe you in this one. You're such a.
I want to see Oklahoma City blow out San Antonio.
That's what I'm saying. You're such a Thunder.
Yeah, no,
like
actually,
you're
I'm
in.
lying.
Like I'm watching you yesterday. You were stressed out. I'm like, what is going on? What is how much does this guy have through DraftKings on this? But I will say this. I will say that it just has the making of like when this is it. It's kind of all on the line. I'm gonna ask you this. I noticed this yesterday during the game, and you tell me this if this is a good strategy for San Antonio. San Antonio's not just trying to beat OKC.
Okay.
There's a little bit of like they're trying to punk them a little bit. There's some
You're saying like hard fouls and some of their like honestly mannerisms.
Yes. I forget who that was yesterday, whether Vassell, Cass, whoever it was with Chet.
Yeah.
Yelling in his face. You've seen Bryant just mow over Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
What was
like
that about?
They're doing some things. With the play that they had with Plumlee and Jared McCain. I think there's a little bit of like, hey, this is probably how we also have to beat them. And if I'm the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm using guys like Dort. I'm using guys like Hartenstein. I'm using guys like Alex Caruso. And I'm getting a little feisty too. And, I don't know if they're thinking in their head, we can't play that style because that's the style the Spurs want us to play with. But they got punked a couple of times.
By the way, I don't know if the officials or the NBA are listening to what people are saying, but Shai got no calls last night.
Okay.
He got to the free throw line 3 times. He had 18 field goal attempts. Now, by his own admission, he is not shooting the ball well. He was 6 of 18 from the floor. But the calls that he has gotten in the series, he didn't get last night. I wonder if that carries over or not.
That's what I don't like.
Into Game 7.
This is what I don't like.
How it's different.
Yeah, well, how's he taking 17 free throws one game and 3 the other?
Yeah, I mean, he played 28 minutes. He sat for a lot of the fourth, obviously.
17 and 3 is a massive difference between these two players. And he didn't just all of a sudden become Steph Curry where he's 25 feet away from the basket.
Tell me this is okay. So everyone's like flopper. Oh my gosh, bad for the game, disservice. Here are the free throw attempts.
It's only getting louder, by the way.
Here are the free throw attempts this series. Okay. 9, 6, 12, 7, 17, 3. Is it that unbelievable?
Yeah. I can't explain it to you. I do my my NBA show, my YouTube show. I do it every morning. And to be honest, a lot of the chat, like even just looking at the chat, I'm like
flopper.
In my head, I'm like, you know what? Maybe I'm missing something because it has dominated the headlines. This series, unfortunately, that's if I told you, give me the top headlines in this series.
This is number 1.
Okay, let's say it's not number 1. Is it not number 2?
Right, number 1 might be Wemby's
could be Wemby
3 in Game 1.
Could be that.
Some of his antics.
But let's put it this way: you're not getting past 3 in storylines when it comes to the conversation about the flopping or the conversation about the style of the Oklahoma City Thunder. It kind of sucks because it's weird to me because SGA I don't feel like is this polarizing. Everybody should hate him or anything like that. Like he kind of seems like a more quiet mannered player, but everyone is all over him. So there must be a reason for it.
There must be. Yeah, I mean there is a reason. There's clearly a reason, and also it wouldn't happen if SGA played for the Wizards or the Hawks. Yeah. And they were a perennial 7 seed or 9 seed. There's no chatter about it.
You know what I had a lot of people tell me this morning? They were all trying to make the comparison of like the James Harden comparison. I'm like, yeah, but James Harden is not a finals MVP and a champion. Like this guy, he could have, if they win tomorrow, they'll be the favorites against the Knicks. He could have 2 championships, 2 MVPs, and 2 finals MVPs in 2 years. That's historic. I don't know how many players have done that, but obviously it's not going to be a large amount of people that have done it.
Get your talkbacks in right now. If you want to be eligible to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair, open the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click on the microphone icon, and tell us one change you'd want to see in baseball. That's all you have to do to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. All right. You're going to hear from J.D. Wicker coming up at 4:30. Our conversation with San Diego State's athletic director. More on Game 7 as well. And updates from the Padres and the Nats. This is Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 congratulates all our winners in iHeartRadio's Thank a Teacher powered by Donors Choose. There's still time to donate to a classroom project, and your donation will be matched by Donors Choose. Help us say thank you to the educators shaping our future right now at iHeartRadio.com/teachers. That's iHeartRadio.com/teachers.
All right. If you missed our conversation with JD Wicker from yesterday, San Diego State's athletic director, you'll hear that coming up at 4:30. We're asking you to get your talkbacks in right now to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Open up the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the red microphone icon, and tell us one change you'd like to see in baseball. We'll announce a winner of that 4-pack of tickets coming up later this hour. You just have to hit us up on the talkback mic. All the talk, Alan, as we get ready for Game 7 tomorrow, all this discussion about Shea and the way he's officiated, it's almost like people aren't even looking at what's playing out on court right now. He has really struggled from the floor.
Yeah, he struggled big time.
Listen to his last 4 games. Yesterday, 6 of 18. A Game 5 win, 7 of 19. The games prior to that, 6 of 15 and 6 of 17. So he is really struggling to find his footing from the floor. This is what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander had to say yesterday after the Game 6 loss.
Shea, statistically, these last 4 games, this is as tough of a shooting funk as you've been in, really, since you've become a star. What do you think are the factors there, and how can you get back to your norm in Game 7?
Yeah, I'm not too sure, to be honest. A lot of the shots that I'm shooting, I've shot plenty of times before, and they feel good. They're just not going in. But yeah, it's too late to abandon my work and abandon my game and who I am. This late in the season, I got to trust it and live or die by it.
Kind of like that answer, by the way, because I see it all the time. I mean, you've covered the NBA for a long time. I've been around college sports now for a long time. There's a big mental hurdles that play out over the course of like seasons or series, or like, I'm sure he's going through it, dude. He's shooting 35% the last 4 games. Like, I'm sure he's going through it.
It's funny. They've been able to still make it a series, and they're able to, and I think this is what Game 7 comes down to. And listen, if you're an NBA fan, maybe even if you're not a big NBA fan, basketball fan, it's Game 7, Western Conference Finals. It should be something to watch. But the series is kind of, for Shea and the Thunder, it hasn't come down to Shea.
Agreed.
For the Spurs,
it's come down to Wemby.
It's come down to Wemby. Yeah. Like, the Wemby piece of it is when he plays great, they typically win that game. Actually, not typically. They win that game. If Shea struggles, they still win. Like, there's still paths for them to win.
Good point.
But I think tomorrow's game for the Spurs, here's how the Thunder win it. Very simple. Shea gives you a decent game. He doesn't have to be a superstar. But more importantly for them, it's all these other dudes.
Caruso.
If Caruso's solid, if Jared McCain is solid, if Dort hits a couple of threes, 100%. Isaiah Joe, Chad Holmgren, they're winning that game. There really isn't kind of a path for the San Antonio Spurs if you have that many guys contributing. For San Antonio, in the wins that they've had, and you and I have talked a little bit about this, De'Aaron Fox has been a complete non-factor. Maybe this is the injury. I think it probably has more to do with the injury, but he's been really, really bad. When Champagnie and Dylan Harper and Vassell or Castle, and just kind of go down the list. Like, I think tomorrow's game, we all want to pay attention to the stars, which is fine. You should. A lot of these games, it's like in any sport, it might not be the star that got it done, or it might be the star that just played a normal game, but it's some random guy that came in and 25 for Caruso, or Champagnie had 18 on top of like some other players. I think it's going to come down to some of these other guys tomorrow.
I agree with you, but I will say this with Wemby. Like, is this kind of the like Wemby legacy game where it's like
the moment
where he had the game 1 moment? I mean, I'm watching yesterday, dude. We were out at Novo, and I'm watching the first half when I was still there for that Aztec event. And I'm just looking up out of the corner of my eye, drains a three. I look at halftime, 22 points, 4 for 8 from 3. I mean, this guy is so special to score 20-something points and a half and hit 4 threes. Like, is this that, you know what? Everyone says this. I need to be aggressive. I need 20 field goal attempts. I'm going to do it. Whether it's at Oklahoma City.
You're right about that.
He's got to do it. Let me go take my 21 shots. Let me make 12 of them. Let me hit 3 threes. Let me block 2 shots, and let me rebound the ball 13 times. And if that's not good enough, that's not good enough.
And this is what OKC will do. They will do everything possible tomorrow to just slow down Wemby.
Yeah.
And if Wemby takes his foot off the gas and says, no, I got to play the right way and I got to do this. This has happened to Shea. And I noticed it during the Lakers series. What Shea is, they throw a double at him. And instead of, because there's some killers out there that's like, you're throwing a double at me, I'm going to get between that double, or I'm going to attack your double,
right,
or I'm going to be so aggressive you're going to foul me. Like, let's put it this way. Not every player is created equal.
Of course.
You threw a double at Kobe, there was going to be this, I'm going to attack it. Because once I attack, like, I'm still going to be me. Shea has kind of gone to this, I'm not going to be me if you throw a double. So then more teams are kind of starting to look, okay, do we do that against him? Wemby tomorrow, if they put all their attention on Wemby, he's still got to be ultra aggressive, because Thunder probably win that game if all of a sudden Wemby is saying, well, they're throwing all these guys at me.
Right. Let me be the distributor.
Wemby can't have 15 and you win game 7. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, he might need 40, truthfully. He may. We'll see. All right, on the other side, if you missed our conversation with San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker, you'll hear it coming up next. We were out at, again, Novo Brazil and Otay Ranch yesterday. Tons going on right now with the Aztecs as it relates to the new Pac-12. You'll hear that conversation on the other side. Plus, this hour, we're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. If you want to win those tickets, open up the iHeartRadio app right now. Search for San Diego Sports 760. Click on the talkback mic and tell us one change you'd want to see in baseball. We'll announce a winner coming up between now and 5 p.m. here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The Padres are in DC taking on the Nationals right now in the bottom of the second, the Nationals lead 3-1 on a pair of home runs. It's Lucas Giolito going against Paxton Schultz. We got no NBA playoffs today, but we got a big Game 7 tomorrow night in the Western Conference Finals to see who takes on the Knicks. Between the Spurs and the Thunder, tip-off will be a little bit after 5 o'clock tomorrow. Starting Strong starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, again, get those talkbacks in. We're going to announce a winner of a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair this hour. Just open up the iHeartRadio app right now, search for San Diego Sports 760, click on the talkback mic, and tell us one change you'd want to see in baseball. We'll play a talkback on the other side and announce a winner coming up between now and 5 p.m. But if you missed it yesterday, great conversation with San Diego State's athletic director. We were out at Novo Brazil Otay Ranch with J.D. Wicker. We started the conversation with some news that came out this week. San Diego State knows its game times and TV networks by and large in their first year in the Pac-12. We talked to J.D. Wicker about how advantageous that is.
Yeah, this was something that as we were in TV negotiations, that was something that we said that was important to us and the TV partners. Again, we're fortunate in the Mountain West. It was the same way for the most part. Fox was more of a 10 days out, but CBS Sportsnet always did. So USA were their only football, and then CW has got ACC, us in the Mountain West. So yeah, worked out great. It's good. Everybody can start planning their tailgates right now.
There you go. Right. We saw this. This was about a week ago or so, and you can kind of elaborate more into it. But great article in the UT about how ticket sales were going and how you guys just were on pace to very optimistic. Let's put it that way.
Yep.
How much of that do you just kind of want to share, and as far as the details go, and how much more do you want for some of those people who have yet to buy tickets, season tickets, to, obviously their path to making that happen?
Yeah, I mean, I think, importantly, one, we're pleased with where we are at this point. So thank you to everyone, in Aztec Nation who's purchased tickets, San Diego sports fans, whoever it is. But, Snapdragon has to look like Viejas does. It's got to be full. If we're going to continue taking this program to the next level as we move into the Pac-12, we've got to fill the building. It's got to be exciting. I mean, Sean was sharing last night at the Caravan, Boise State's using home atmosphere against us right now. That's the only thing they've got against us in recruiting. So fan base has got to step up. We brought our ticket prices down. We have the best stadium in the country. It's an exciting brand of football. We were 9-4 last year. We've got James Madison coming in. We've got the new Pac-12. It is a phenomenal home schedule. Now you know what time it is. Start planning. So
how critical is that pitch to these athletes that, you just said Boise State is using it to their advantage, as they should, if that's an advantage that they have? How critical is that, you think, to a student athlete?
It definitely plays a role. I mean, Wyoming's coach last year made fun of us. They played here. I mean, we kicked their tail, and he said, it was Halloween weekend. He said, however many people came dressed as empty seats at Snapdragon. So it's out there. It's been there. And that's something that, again, we've got San Diego. We've got Sean Lewis. We've got all, these great things to offer these student athletes, but they want to play in front of exciting crowds. And the Cal crowd was great. Boise last year, the number of people that showed up and sat in the rain, I was impressed. So we've done it before. I mean, I was talking with somebody, an alum this morning, I guess, and, thinking about the Stanford game back in 2017, the blackout game. And that's probably the best atmosphere I've seen since I've been in I'm 14 years now. That was the best atmosphere we've ever had, was that Stanford game. It was exciting. Next year we'll, figure out how we honor that game and 10 years out. But it's a great place to be. And we've seen how exciting that stadium can be.
It's so funny because my first year in San Diego, J.D. Wicker is with us right now. Schaefer and Slee with San Diego Sports 760. My first year in San Diego was 2017. And that was a really special team. Rashawn Penny runs for 2,000 yards, finishes top 5 in the Heisman, the blackout game against the top 20. Stanford team.
Beat ASU, beat
Arizona
Stanford.
State. That's right. Rashad Penny had like a kick return touchdown, a punt return touchdown, a rushing touchdown, all in that same game. All right, so I want to switch gears to the there's only so much that can be probably publicly discussed, but what does it mean for the Pac-12 now that they can kind of turn the page from the settlement situation that's been playing out? The Pac-12 and the Mountain West, as San Diego State and others have departed for, obviously, the Pac-12. That's going to be settled, and that means what for San Diego State and the Pac-12 moving forward?
I mean, the good news is we're done with it. Yeah. We can move forward. We know what the exit fee is going to be. So we're able, from a financial standpoint, to kind of put that in the past and, concentrate on what's going forward. We don't have that hanging over our heads. So we're excited to be done with it. And I mean, we're mostly done with it. We've still got to get, signatures on lines. There's still some work to do with the judge. But I think, we have an agreement in principle and we're ready to move forward.
I'll switch gears as well. San Diego State baseball. Tremendous season. Obviously, lose that final game to Washington State. Talk a little bit about what this year was for San Diego State baseball, and it clearly was incredibly exciting. I know they weren't able to win that final game and get to where they wanted to get to, but what was this season like for the program?
Yeah, that was huge for us. I mean, we had it's one of those things. San Diego State baseball's kind of been up and down.
Yep.
We've never really been consistently in the mix into the NCAA tournament. So it was important to get that program back. I mean, it's a storied program. You look at the people who've come through that program, it's amazing. So it's fun to have Steven Strasburg back in town, Bud Black's back in town. You see them at practice from time to time. Kevin Vance came in, San Diego native, invested in San Diego State and the community, and went out and got a bunch of great kids to come down. And, hopefully we'll have a lot of those kids back next year. We'll see how that plays out. With baseball, you have the draft there too when you get to, that end of that third year. Yeah. So, but we feel really good about what we've got going forward with Kevin. He's, a great human being, and people in San Diego love it. So we're excited to build on it.
Yeah, we talked so much about the Pac-12 and what it could mean for football, men's and women's basketball. You think about a sport like baseball.
Yeah.
Oregon State, as we know, I think is a 3-time national champion since the turn of the century. Dallas Baptist is in the baseball league. I mean, this is going to be, you talk about top 5 football or basketball, this would be one of the better baseball leagues, right?
Yeah, I didn't look at the final RPI yet, but I believe of the only Fresno State was going to be outside the top 100. So everybody else was inside the top 100 this year. So that's big. So that's a really good league.
I want to follow up about, as the transition becomes official, like that July 1st date from the Mountain West to the Pac-12, what's that going to mean for the department and just like the fan energy surrounding the program? What do you hope July 1st signifies for San Diegans and Aztec alum as they look forward to this fall and beyond?
I mean, we've talked Pac-12 forever in San Diego, so it's actually happening. The competition level is going to rise with who we've got across all of our sports, so we're really excited about that. We've got a lot of work to do still with some minutia. We've got a lot of Pac-12 branding to put up on campus, right. Basketball floors, football stadiums, all the facilities. So there's a lot of work like that to do, but there's just, there's a general energy, especially, if you look at football and the college football playoff. If we win the Pac-12, we should be in the college football playoff next year. So that's huge for us. The basketball, both men and women, that competition definitely steps up, and then across all of our sports. So it's a lot to be excited about.
Just staying with the football program for a quick second. What are some of your expectations this season? For those, I know we're early on, and I know there's a lot of time before kickoff and we get people down to Snapdragon Stadium, but how you sitting here today, seeing what Sean Lewis is obviously building, how do you feel about the football program today and where you think it can be this upcoming season?
Yeah, we've always talked about our expectation is to compete for conference championships. In the past, it used to be very important to be the conference champion because that was your entree into, whatever the college football playoff or those New Year's Day bowls, that type of thing. I think it's going to stick that you don't have to be the conference champion to access the college football playoff from the group of 6. But still, if you win the Pac-12, you're probably going to the college football playoff. So, looking at what we've got back offensively versus defensively, it's kind of the flip of what it was last year. We knew we were going to be pretty good defensively, didn't know we were going to be that elite. Offensively, we should be really good. It's going to be exciting brand of football. and then the defensive side of the ball has got to come along. I think what's interesting, and we were talking about it on our ride up to Orange County last night for another caravan event with Sean. We were like, okay, how do you start breaking down those first 4 games? Because all 4 teams have new coaches. And then on top of new coaches, you have 40 to 70 new players. So it's like, okay, if you're scouting UCLA, are you watching James Madison film? Are you watching film of, the 10 guys that came from 10 different schools just to see what kind of, player they are? So that was that's a new interesting element to it, is not only new coaching staffs, but also all the new players that they bring in and trying to, understand what they bring to that team.
JD Wicker with us right now, San Diego State's athletic director on the home of the Aztecs, San Diego Sports 760. We asked you this a couple of weeks ago. The whole college football playoff future, if it's 12, is it 16? Could it be as many as 24? What's the discernible impact potentially on a program like San Diego State? If it is larger, even if there isn't the guaranteed access to a second G6 program, would it still be advantageous to open it up and open up that at-large pool?
I would like to say yes. I don't totally trust that with Power 4 at this point, and that they would put pressure on that. Sure. You would only see one G6 ranked, whereas last year you had a couple G6s that if you had 24 may have been in the playoff. So I think that'll be important to see how they want to include us in how it works before we say, okay, we're good with 12, we like 16 or 24. I mean, one of the things that I worry about with 24, especially if they're like, oh, you only get one, well, great, we're going to get 8-4 Iowa versus 8-4 USC. Is that an exciting playoff game when 10-2 or 11-1? San Diego State or Boise State sitting at home.
Right. That's an interesting point.
Is it kind of from the outside looking in? What do you make of all that? There's just like we're joking about it, but you got these conferences. There's so much bickering. There's so much angling. There's so much. I mean, the SEC basically saying, I think we're talking about Kirby Smart, is basically like we could go on our own. As somebody who's a athletic director and you're here in San Diego, what do you make of just watching this all from the outside and some of the stuff that's playing out?
Well, positive on, I guess it was yesterday, the Senators Cruz and Cantwell dropped their bill for the Senate. So I haven't read it yet. I've read various articles around this, 111 pages, so I'll get to it at some point. But that's a really good bill as far as addressing some of those key elements. One of the big ones is, any conference that has more than $1 billion in revenue can't join with another conference that does that. So basically, if this bill passes, the SEC and the Big Ten can't create a super conference based on what the bill says. So I think if we can get the bill, that's going to calm everybody down because it gives the CSC teeth. It codifies the House settlement, so it allows the CSC to make rules and then go and enforce those rules. And you start enforcing those rules legitimately, you're going to see people starting, to calm down a little bit, and it's going to, get a little better. It's going to be easier to make rules because there are a lot of people that are doing it the right way who are frustrated when they look at other people that aren't doing it the right way. And they're like, well, we want the CSC to go get them. But the CSC hasn't really been empowered completely yet at this point based on how everything's been set up. So my hope would be that bill, we can get it through Congress in the next couple months. And then we know what the pathway is forward, and that kind of calms things down a little bit.
In the meantime, get season tickets. We're 3 months away. In fact, I think I saw the tweet today from San Diego State football, 100 days away from San Diego State's opener against Portland State at Snapdragon Stadium, 6:30 p.m. kickoff. Nationally televised. You can grab your tickets right now at goaztecs.com. Become a season ticket holder starting at $175. Should we go grab a kombucha, JD? We're at Novo, Brazil. You want
Absolutely. Why not?
JD's ready to go.
I've never had a kombucha before.
In your life?
So never.
Oh, well.
He lives off of them.
I know.
This guy lives off of them.
Do they have tofu flavored kombucha? Is that how that works?
We're going to ask.
I think edamame. There's an edamame.
No, I like edamame. We live on edamame at the Wicker household.
At 6 p.m. JD, great to see you. Thanks for doing it.
Thank you,
All right, guys.
All right, great stuff there with San Diego State's athletic director, J.D. Wicker. If you missed our conversation with Jesse Rogers from ESPN about the labor dispute going on in baseball, you'll hear that in the 5 o'clock hour. You've got one more chance, though, Alan, to get your talkbacks in. Okay? What do you want to see changed in baseball as we talk about this collective bargaining agreement? Do you want to see a salary cap, a salary floor, local TV money pooled together for all the clubs? What do you want to see?
Runs scored by the Padres.
Runs
Just
scored
tell
by
us
the
what you want to
Padres.
see.
Open up the app, search for 760, click the Talkback mic. Because coming up next, we're giving away a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair if you use the Talkback.
So it's just going to say right there, if you're somebody that wants to get out to the San Diego County Fair, make your best case. We got a couple good ones here, so let's hear a couple more come in before we make our decision.
Also on the other side, let's take a look at the good, bad, and ugly of A.J. Preller's tenure when it comes to trades, right? Because he traded away James Wood and C.J. Abrams. He's made some critical additions, obviously, via trade as well. Look no further than Mason Miller. We'll put A.J. Preller under that microscope. On the other side, we'll hear from Jesse Rogers coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. This is Schaefer and Sliwa on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Schaefer again for my friends at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. It's a great weekend to get out there with their hotel and spa, where you can experience elevated luxury. They've got their refined hotel stay with rooftop relaxation, indulgent spa treatments, all the excitement of Jamul Casino Resort seamlessly brought together in one unforgettable destination. And now you can take your stay to the next level. They've got exclusive hotel packages crafted for the ultimate escape. You'll love their dining options. You can trust me on that. Whether it's Jamul 23 or Tony Gwynn's or any of the options at Jamul 23, you can enjoy a lobster buffet every day. That's all you can eat lobster every day, plus dozens of other delicious stations. Start your morning with their new signature breakfast buffet. That's Monday through Friday, 8 to 10:30 a.m. with made-to-order omelets, fresh fruit, and sweet and savory favorites. And at Tony Gwynn's, you're getting an endless dining experience Wednesday through Sunday at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. That's at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760. We'll hear from Jesse Rogers from ESPN in the 5 o'clock hour. Beautiful day, by the way, to kick off a weekend here in San Diego. Were you out and about? Were you out and about today?
Today I was. Yeah, you know what? You know where I ended up going yesterday after.
Oh yeah.
This is kind of an interesting. So we're down in Chula Vista yesterday, Otay Mesa, and we finish our broadcast. I did two things yesterday that are so polar opposite from each other.
Okay.
I did two things. First thing I did is I went to the gym. We finish.
You went to the gym when? In the morning?
No. So I'm taking you back to yesterday, last night.
You went to the gym after the show?
After our show. Okay,
where?
It's not that crazy.
It's crazy. You were at Novo, Brazil. You didn't even have like gym clothes.
You know I got everything in my car.
So you went to the gym at 6
So I went to the gym, yeah. But by the way, the look on your face was like
Shocking.
I went at 3 a.m. or something. Like we just left a concert or something and I went to the gym.
But it was like dinner time. We were like drinking kombucha.
Brother, it's 6:30.
Where was the gym? It was like a chain.
It's a chain. It's a in Otay Mesa. They had an LA Fitness.
Okay,
so I went there.
hit that up.
So I go there, and right after I'm done with the gym, where do you think I went to go get just a nice?
Well, you already told me.
I went to Tacos El Gordo
Which
because
is an amazing spot.
Who doesn't go get after you go to the gym just something nice and light? You know, they say you need protein.
Yeah,
so I went with
exactly.
tortillas and protein, everything.
Yeah, but you told me you ate a lot.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad.
So hold on.
But it was all worth it.
What was the point? So you were basically playing for the tie, so to speak. You went to the gym just so you could eat a lot of food.
No.
Why didn't you just forget the gym and eat a little bit of food?
Yeah, that one right there.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what if you didn't go to the gym and just ate half the amount?
Well, I was in Chula Vista, you know, so like I might as well go get just amazing Mexican food. Not that we don't all have Mexican food everywhere, but Tacos El Gordo, it's a classic spot.
But you're telling me you were eating like everything.
It was everything. Yeah, it was bad. Yeah, I had easily 4 tacos.
Do you regret any of this? Is it like, do you
I regret the amount
trip?
I ate. I don't regret what I ate and my decision to go there.
Because remember, Brent, he told us that one day he went out and had like a cheeseburger with a pancake. Last night, he showed me the pictures of these tacos. They look incredible. And he showed me some other thing he ate that looked incredible. And then he shows me like some ice cream popsicle thing he had. Like,
first off, listen,
wait.
First off, let me tell you this. Okay.
I say it like I'm so mad.
Let me mention what I ate.
Whatever. I mean, yeah.
You can't throw in the ice cream popsicle that I had after I already had 4 tacos. You don't have the right.
Tacos.
You don't have the right to throw in the ice cream there.
Where were you mentally when you're like, hey, I've just completed my 4th taco. Maybe I'll have an ice cream sandwich.
You know how it happened? It wasn't an ice cream sandwich, right? It was one of their like strawberry, whatever. It's Mexican ice cream. Those are amazing.
Good, yeah.
Here's what happened. I walked to the restroom to go wash my hands because it was a mess. I'm telling you.
I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
The tacos, selling ice cream on the way to the bathroom?
No.
In the bathroom.
But when I left the bathroom on my way back out, it's right next to the register. I didn't notice that little freezer thing that they had there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, well, I'm already here.
I'm already here.
Yeah. And I think
I'm
the people
at the car dealership. Let me just.
I think the people that I was paying, I think they're like, I could see that they ran through a lot of customers during the time I was there. I think in their head, they're like, I think we've seen you 3 times with 3 separate transactions.
You had 3 Now, did you buy a soft drink?
No.
You just had water.
Yeah, I don't care for the soda thing. Doesn't do anything for me. Even though a nice horchata would have been nice, I did not get an horchata.
So what time did you get home after all this? Because you went to LA Fitness for
8 o'clock, 8ish, something like that.
What were you at the gym for 20 minutes? That's the way I go to the gym.
Okay, maybe 8:30. Yeah.
When you go to the gym,
45 minutes at the gym.
45. So what are you doing?
Maybe 40.
Run 40 minutes.
Yeah, maybe 40.
Is there any running?
I just
in there,
lifted. There was no cardio. So there's like, if you don't do cardio, then you're in and out in not that much time.
I don't even know what we're talking about. So would you say overall an enjoyable experience? We went to Novo.
It was great.
To the LA Fitness down phenomenal. There.
I just didn't need to go in for like 3rd rounds of food.
So you kind of regret the way it played out.
Now listen, I'll be a little more strategic next time, but it's hard, man. They're just freaking, the guy's carving the meat right back there. I'm like, I'm getting back in line.
So would you consider yourself normally, are you a health conscious eater?
Typically, I used to be.
I was gonna say I don't know if I've necessarily noticed in our time.
Right now, I'm in a stretch where it's funny. How this all started today is because we're sitting there prepping, and I'm straight up eating a salad and an apple, and you're like, look at you eating healthy. I went straight to my phone. I'm like, look at these photos.
Look what happened last night.
Look what happened.
I feel like you feel bad about how much you ate. You told yourself I need a salad.
No, it's not. My body's like, hey, why don't you get some greens in you, brother?
Yeah, it's true.
My body was talking to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right.
My body was telling me.
All right. Jesse Rogers from ESPN. Great conversation about what comes next with baseball in 2027. Will we see a salary cap or not? We'll hear from Jesse Rogers coming up next.
Good work, Giolito.
By the way,
nice job, brother.
The update from Nationals Park is
great freaking job today, huh?
He doesn't make it out of the third inning. I thought this was the fourth inning, Alan. He doesn't make it out of the third inning. How many pitches did he throw?
He had 2 outs, nobody on. Walked CJ Abrams, then gives up a single. I think walked another guy. Nice job,
77.
brother.
77
Way to
pitches.
come through, huh?
Wow,
phenomenal job. Way to keep your team in it.
Well, it's early. It's early.
Yeah, it's early. You're going to your bullpen, not even 3 innings in.
Go to Mason Miller here, bases loaded in the third.
My God.
That's what Schultz would do.
They went up 1-0 in my head. I was like that's it. We're good.
I go to Miller here for the 22 outs. Just finish off the game with Miller and see if your offense can come to life.
Just freaking awful.
We'll hear from Jesse Rogers on the other side here until 6 p.m. Giving away San Diego County Fair tickets ahead in the 5 o'clock hour as well here on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. They got to get out of this spot.
This report is sponsored by RCP Block and Brick. The Padres are in Washington starting their series against the Nationals. It was Lucas Giolito going against Paxton Schultz, but he's now been pulled. The Padres just got out of a jam, but still trail 4-2. There's no NBA playoffs today, but we got a game 7 tomorrow in the Western Conference Finals between the Spurs and Thunder. That will tip off after 5 o'clock. For a backyard that stands out, RCP Block and Brick has the new large profile Monarch pavers. They're bold, modern, and made to last. From walkways, patios to pool decks, Monarch large profile pavers will transform your outdoor space. Monarch pavers now at rcpblock.com.
That's the first base coach. All right, final hour today on Schaefer and Sliwa here until 6 p.m. You'll hear from Jesse Rogers at ESPN coming up at 5:30. Alan, we're going to give away. We have a great giveaway this hour. We have a pair of tickets to see Chicago June 10th on the Corona Grand Stage.
There you go.
At the San Diego County Fair. If you win those tickets, you get fair tickets as well. Here's how you can win Chicago tickets June 10th and fair tickets for that day. Tell us who's going to win Game 7 tomorrow night. Simple as that, between the Spurs and the Thunder. Tell us who's going to win Game 7 on the Talkback mic. So open the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the Talkback mic. Tell us who wins Game 7. You're automatically entered to win the fair tickets and the Chicago tickets that we'll give away this
Thunder and the Spurs, Game 7 was at 5:30 tomorrow. Winner take all. They wait for the New York Knicks. New York Knicks are waiting. And I'm sure for you, Thunder. If it's somebody that's on the Thunder side, you're going to be like, hey, I really think we should give it to this person.
That's right.
If it's me, I'm going to lean very heavy towards Wemby. So either way, give us a talk back. Who you think wins Game 7?
Guess it's a good thing I pick it, huh?
Yes, exactly. Brent will pick it. Are you sitting there tomorrow night, Alan, by the way? Like, are you throwing things to the TV if like Shea's getting calls or like Chet's got to put back layup? Are you getting mad when Oklahoma
Are you talking
City?
Because of you?
No, because you're like Mr. Spur. You've been rooting for the Spurs.
Spurs Nation.
Yeah, you're rooting for the Spurs.
All right, real quick. I'll tell you how I am. I want to know because your wife's a huge Shea Gilgeous-Alexander fan.
Huge.
Your family has all of a sudden become Oklahoma City Thunder fans since I don't know, since March 2026. Since April 25th.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, that's your guys' team. With that in mind, what does your household look like? Are you guys actually nervous? Like what's it?
Oh my gosh. I got home last night from work and my wife was mad because it was from getting back from Novo, Brazil. She's like, I'm like, what's wrong? She's like, the Thunder. I'm like, oh, you're mad? I'm like,
I'm not surprised she's mad.
Game. She's like, yeah, but I'm not gonna I'm really worried about Game 7. I'm like,
yeah, she's nervous.
Yeah, I understand, but at least there is a 7th game.
How am I going to watch it tomorrow? I'm going to watch it without a dog in the fight, even though I kind of have a dog in the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be a little frustrated if the Thunder beat the Spurs. I just want to see the Spurs win it. That's all. I want to see the Spurs. I want to see Wemby, but I'll forget about it. It's like one of those those national championship games that you have where we really don't have a dog in the fight.
Mm-hmm. So watch it.
But we have chosen a team that we want.
Yeah.
And then the moment they lose, 7 minutes later, I'll probably forget. The Spurs Thunder one, I have more of a dog in the fight.
Who do you think wins Game 7? Tell us right now on the Talkback mic. Open the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the Talkback microphone. Tell us who wins Game 7. By doing that, you're automatically entered to win a pair of tickets to see Chicago at the San Diego County Fair. All right, we're watching the Padres.
Tell you who's not winning.
Who's that?
Lucas Giolito.
No, he's not. He didn't even last 3 innings.
No.
So we're reminded, obviously, with the Padres playing the Nationals, about one of the bigger modern day baseball trades. Juan Soto to the Padres in 2022. This thing was massive, obviously.
Yeah.
So was, by the way, his trade to the New York Yankees, a year and a half later, obviously. AJ Preller, as we know, Alan, has been among the most aggressive GMs in modern baseball history. It's not just Soto. Think about, there's been so many trades. Darvish, Snell, Musgrove, Miller, right?
I was just going to say, go back to last season. The Mason Miller one was as big as it gets. Mm-hmm.
So when you think about the trades that he has made, and there have been a lot of them, is he winning them by and large? Is he losing him by and large? Is it moving the organization forward, or is it setting them back by and large?
I think Acee said some things that were really interesting. We had Kevin on about 3:15, so you can go back and listen on the iHeartRadio network or go back on YouTube. I thought he said some really interesting things about how it felt like the vibe of like, hey, you took the San Diego Padres to a whole different level the moment you traded for Juan Soto. And you knew it was going to obviously cost you a lot. Juan Soto, one of the best players in baseball. Now the question just more is, hey, if you're going to go grab a player like that, you sure you don't want to have him for 5 years? You know, like just how long are you going to have him for? Nobody's going to remember Juan Soto as a San Diego Padre.
No, he's not going in the Hall of Fame as a Padre.
It was a quick stop here. I thought it was interesting what he said he said that you were there for the first game that it happened. Yeah. You know, it's crazy. It happened, and I drove down from LA. I'm like, I'm going to this game. Juan Soto's first game. I'm coming to this game. So I drove down. I went to that game as well. That's the one where I think it was
the Grand Slam of the first
Grand Slam. Not Bell. It was
Drury. Brandon Drury.
It was Drury. That's who it was. Then I was like, we don't even need Soto after that. Yeah. I think it did add something, and it added an element. And you look at the 4 years, 4 out of 6 years, they make the postseason, and the Padres have been a real conversation, some stardom that's walked through these doors, either guys they already have or guys they traded for like Soto and Mason Miller. But at some point, there's going to be a cost to all this. Can I tell you right now whether I think that trade was good or not? I think I got to wait to see what happens to these two guys that we're watching with the Nationals.
Here's my problem with that.
Wouldn't most Padre fans just say like, hey, that was awesome, it was great, but you didn't get to a World Series? Not that it was Juan Soto's fault. I mean, don't forget that year is when they thought Tatis was going to be coming back. He's going to be ready. You're adding this player to everything that you had, and he gets suspended.
Here's my issue with let me see what Wood and Abrams do in DC. Like, they're not winning a World Series. Now, maybe I jinxed it. They're not. I mean, the Nationals, by the way, Abrams and Wood, when we talked to Dan Lang yesterday, there's already conversation about their future. They've already parted ways with Mackenzie Gore. This organization, the Nationals.
But these two are really good.
They're very good players, but they're a 500 team. The trade happened in 2022. Yeah, they've both been up for multiple years. They'll be free agents in a couple of years.
That's different. Well, I don't even know how much that's different. I think the question just becomes, it's natural to say, would they have been better off
by not making the trade?
I mean, just think about this for a second. Juan Soto hasn't been a Padre for how many years?
Since the conclusion of 2023.
Okay.
So 2.5 seasons.
So he's been gone for 2.5 years. So it's not like you're seeing these are this is the success Juan Soto is having on your team on a day-to-day basis. I know Michael King, Randy Vasquez.
That's a big part of the Padres.
You're 100%. I get that. And Michael King could be gone, but for all we know, by the time this year's all said and done. But let me just kind of finish what I was going to say. These two are studs, both of them. Like, it's one thing if only one of them was good. You got, we were looking at their numbers yesterday, and I'll pull it up here real quick. Go look at their numbers, and I think what adds to this as well, it's like the Padres are so bad offensively. No one is near these two dudes of what they're currently doing offensively right now for the Washington Nationals. So how do you not kind of stop and say to yourself, what could have been?
Yeah, what could have been, you're right. I would agree with that. But, isn't there an example in life of like everyone always yearns for what they don't have? It's like, oh, my, look at my ex-girlfriend now on Instagram. Look how happy she now is. But the grass isn't always greener. It's like, if they never went down that path, Alan, we don't know if Abrams and Wood are even here, because there could have been other moves that Preller would have made between 2022 and 2026. And there's probably a world where they are here. But is anything really discernibly different if James Wood and CJ Abrams stayed, let's say, in 2022? Have the Padres won a World Series?
No, they wouldn't. I mean, listen, I get the whole going all in. I mean, nobody's saying like, I understand what the Padres were trying to do, and I respect it a ton, but there's a risk. There's a risk that comes with it. And when you see what Tatis, what Manny, what Xander, what Merrill are all doing offensively. And then I look at just James Wood. I'm like, hey, he has 15 home runs already. He's batting .276. He's got 37 RBIs. If I look at CJ Abrams alone, just by himself,
RBIs.
he has 12 home runs and 47 RBIs. Between these two guys alone, you have 27 home runs and 80 plus RBIs. Again, nobody's saying they shouldn't have made that trade. Just as we sit here today and the Padres are playing the Nationals, these two dudes are absolutely balling out. Even if you have two guys that are studs, it doesn't mean you're going to win a World Series, because that's not what it takes to win a World Series.
Sure.
It takes a full squad, and obviously the Nationals don't have that.
Here's what I would just say in general. When it comes to the trade conversation and AJ Preller, I agree with what you're saying. He's not hitting, he's not winning 100% of these trades. He might not even be winning half of them, but I'll tell you what he is winning. He's winning the PR battle every time he swings on one of these deals. Let me explain. When Juan Soto was acquired, people lost their minds. When I'll go all the way back, Yu Darvish from the Cubs, Blake Snell from the Rays, Joe Musgrove from the Pirates, Josh Hader from the Brewers, Dylan Cease from the White Sox, Mike Clevenger from the Guardians. Tell me any one of these that fans weren't head over heels about when they occurred.
I think this is where you and I might differ in this. I don't need you to win the PR battle.
Oh, I agree.
I don't need you to win the public relations battle. I need you to win the trade. And if people don't see that trade today, I want them to look back 5 years from now and say, hey, that was the right move.
No,
right?
I agree.
You see what I'm saying? That even if what they're doing at Petco and what's happened there, and the reason why that vibe is there is because they traded for Juan Soto.
Exactly.
It's because they traded for Mason Miller.
They signed Manny Machado, obviously starts it all.
But I'm saying that like all of these help create a narrative of we're trying to win, which they are. We're willing to win at any capacity, which they are. At least they've tried to over these last handful of years. But what I need my president of baseball operations or my general manager or my owner to do, you could try to appease me today and I might be happy, but I also need you to pay a lot of attention to tomorrow, because what you want is to try to be, obviously competitive for years to come. That's how that's how these trades are going to be looked at. And if he's made some bad trades, we should call him out for it. And if he's made some great trades, we should of course call him out for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking back, like some of these names, dude, it's amazing the amount of talent he's been able to acquire. And to your point, it hasn't all worked out, but like when they got Tanner Scott, when they got Jason Adam, when they got Mason Miller, when they got Luis Ariz, just think about what you were thinking as this played out. Now, again, there's a lot of tentacles to these conversations. What you gave up, I'm not even mentioning what you've given up. I know. We've talked about Abrams and Wood. But listen, I'd rather my GM be the aggressive one like AJ Preller than the opposite. That's just me. Not everyone is like that. But I prefer it.
There's going to come a time where he might be aggressive the other way. Like, I think right now they're just, and this is something else that AC had pointed out, which I think is right. Where are you with your franchise? The Washington Nationals at that time, brother, they cashed in a World Series. They're, Juan Soto is kind of already indicating that I'm not coming back to your team, even if you offer me 400, 500 million, whatever that number was. Like, it was the right time for them to say, let's start selling off. There will come a time where you feel like San Diego's in a position, and it might be, I hope it's 5 years from now or longer, that it's like, hey, this window is officially closed. But that could be 2 years from now as well. And then how they obviously approach things from there. I'm with you. Be aggressive. But you could also be aggressive and look the other way. And I think a lot of San Diegans appreciated how aggressive he was trying to win, because that has not been a San Diego thing.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I think this organization will keep its foot on the gas. They'll do everything in their power to keep doing that and put off the opposite from occurring and selling off parts. But there will be a day where they'll probably need to do that, even under AJ Preller. All right. If you want a pair of tickets to see Chicago at the San Diego County Fair, tell us who wins Game 7 between the Thunder and the Spurs tomorrow night. Open the iHeartRadio app, search for 760, click the red talkback mic. Tell us who wins Game 7. Speaking of the NBA, LeBron apparently waiting by his phone for who to call. We'll explain on the other side. Plus, Jesse Rogers from ESPN at 5:30 on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
talkbacks or nothing?
That mic's on. Turn that off.
All right, San Diego Sports 760 and iHeartRadio present our 2026 iHeartRadio Music Festival, the biggest music event of the year. Legendary performances from the biggest names in music and a once-in-a-lifetime collaboration. We'll announce the complete lineup for this year's show and let you know how you could win tickets before they go on sale. Everything you need to know happens Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Another once-in-a-lifetime music event from iHeartRadio and San Diego Sports 760.
If you want a chance to win a pair of tickets to the San Diego County Fair and see Chicago on June 10th, tell us who's going to win Game 7 on the iHeartRadio app. Is it going to be the Spurs or the Thunder? Open the app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the red talkback mic. Just by using the talkback mic, you're eligible to win a pair of tickets to see Chicago at the San Diego County Fair on June 10th. We'll hear from Jesse Rogers at ESPN at 5:30. The NBA offseason obviously well underway for most teams, including the LA Lakers and LeBron James. Yeah. LeBron James, and you and I have talked about this before, but apparently is waiting on the Lakers. And if they don't offer him a max contract, he wants the explanation, right, from the Lakers as to why not.
Yeah, Brian Windhorst was explaining this, as everybody's watching the NBA, only 3 teams left. The moment the Cavs went out, there started this speculation when the Knicks swept the Cavs. There started the speculation of like, they're going to go after LeBron. Does LeBron want to go back there? Which, I don't know. There's always angles and storylines there. But Brian Windhorst was mentioning that, and you tell me if this is fair and how, I don't know, how if this is the proper way of doing things. We all know LeBron's not going to make $50+ million again. Now, that doesn't mean, let's just talk business here for a second. Would it make sense for a team just financially if, let's just say there was no, this is actually a good example with baseball. There's no cap. You could pay as much as you want for a player.
If that was the case in basketball?
Let's say it's the same rules.
Right. He's worth a lot of money.
Ron's going to get $50 million in an open market. Just because even the Knicks would say, bring him over, let's just sell tickets, whatever the case is.
Well, take one step back. What is the max? So for a player, if he wants a one-year deal, what does even the max mean?
I think this year for him,
it's in the 50s?
50, maybe 6-ish, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. Okay. So, and last year, don't forget, he made 52.
Okay.
So, basically, LeBron, according to Brian Windhorst, is, all right, if you don't want to offer me 50, you don't want to offer me 40, say you want to offer me $30 million. What's your plan with that extra money?
Gotcha.
What are you going to use this extra money for? And don't tell me you're going to go re-sign, Luke Kennard and Rui Hachimura, because we already had that.
And it didn't work.
And that's not going to be the difference of, competing for a championship. And by the way, I don't think there's a path. I was doing a show this morning. Kobe Price, who we've had on this California Post, I was asking him, like, what's the gap, you think, between the Spurs and the Thunder? Because you could say that, hey, well, there's all these other teams right after the Spurs and the Thunder. Denver's there, Houston's there, Lakers are there, maybe Minnesota's there. If you want to just put them all in the same pool. But I think what people are not talking about is, well, how far behind are you from the top 2 teams? And obviously, it feels like everybody is well behind the Spurs and the Thunder in the Western Conference. So I'm kind of curious here how LeBron takes this.
What's the number, Brent? The max?
because he has 10 plus years in the league with the bird rights, it would be 1 year, $59.5 million.
$60 million. Here's what I would do. I've said this now repeatedly. If I'm the Lakers, if I'm Rob Pelinka, I'm walking away. And the reason I say that is twofold. A, I can use the dollars that I would have otherwise allocated, even if it is 35 and not 59, even if it is 45. And here's the other thing. I have to find out if I can actually build a championship caliber roster around Luka Doncic. And I need to find out immediately. Why am I putting this off? Like, if you know you like each other, get married. You know, if you think Luka's your championship caliber guy, go prove it with him and build around him. LeBron's a great player, but we just watched it play out in LA in real time with Luka. And to your point, they're not first, second, or third in the Western Conference. I don't know if they will be next year either, but it's time.
You could still be third and be nowhere near getting out of the West.
True. I just think it's time to like turn the page, put everything into the basket of what is it going to take to win a championship with Luka.
A lot of people would agree with you on that, but I think they're in this position where it's like, I think they feel obligated.
Probably.
Hey, we gotta give LeBron. I mean, there's a way to do it. They could tell LeBron, hey, we're giving you $20 million. That's the most we're going to give you. You're basically telling LeBron, go look somewhere else.
I mean, what would you say is someone that covers the franchise as long as you have it? If they, let's say you say, you know what, LeBron, you're right. You are owed the maximum. You've been here 8 years. We're going to give you 59 and a half. We want you back. What would your just your reaction? What are Lakers fans?
Yeah, I think it would be. I think it would be a terrible idea to give him that much.
You're not
now,
win.
Listen, is there a world you can give him 30?
Right.
And you could say, all right, look, this guy still walked us through the series against the Houston Rockets. He still was phenomenal in those final couple of months when he played a different role. He still has a lot of value that's left here, and 30 is a lot different than 60.
No, you're right.
Maybe so is that the common ground?
But it sounds like LeBron's going to need some serious explanations if he's offered $30 million. Like if you're offered 30, does he walk?
Here's the only problem with LeBron's
positioning.
Yeah, it's like in the past he had all the leverage. He has leverage, but I think listen, if he walked away tomorrow, all right, then Lakers are going to just start building around Luka again. I don't think they're one piece away anyway. So it's like there is a little bit of, are they just kicking the can down the road?
Yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
All right, who's going to win Game 7? Tell us on the iHeartRadio app on that talkback mic. Spurs or Thunder? Open up the iHeartRadio app. Search for San Diego Sports 760. Click on the red microphone icon. By doing that, you're entered to win a pair of tickets to the San Diego County Fair to see Chicago on June 10th. We'll switch gears back to baseball on the other side. The latest between the players and the owners with Jesse Rogers from ESPN. That's next on Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app.
This report is sponsored by AutoZone. Get in the zone. The Padres are in Washington taking on the Nationals in game 1 of their series. Right now in the top of the 5th, we are all tied up at 4 apiece. We got no NBA playoffs today, but we got game 7 tomorrow in the Western Conference Finals between Spurs and Thunder. That will tip off after 5 o'clock. Starting Stronger starts at AutoZone, where they've got battery solutions in the form of free battery testing, free battery charging, and replacement batteries that fit your needs. That's what makes them America's #1 battery destination. Get in the zone, AutoZone.
All right, get your talkbacks in. Who's going to win game 7 between the Spurs and the Thunder? Let us know by opening up the iHeartRadio app, searching for San Diego Sports 760, clicking the talkback mic. By just doing that, you're eligible to win a pair of tickets to see Chicago at the San Diego County Fair on June 10th. So get that in. Your talkbacks on the mic. Spurs or Thunder win game 7. If you missed it earlier, Jesse Rogers from ESPN on the latest between the players and the owners with the upcoming CBA. We asked him if either of the proposals or anything in them from the players or the owners was surprising to him. Take a listen.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people would say the league proposing that floor of 171 million kind of opened some people's eyes. Like, wow, I didn't think it'd be that high, but I think that was very strategic, right? To get people on their side a little bit, maybe even get some players on their side. Hey, we're going to force all these teams, 12 of them, to spend up to 171 million at least. And obviously that the top is low. 245 is kind of a low number when you consider, the 8 teams above it. So that part is still something to negotiate. But the 171 was a pleasant surprise. But I think it was strategic. It was like, hey, we're going to show you we're serious about this and see what you guys think about it. But the problem is we're talking apples and oranges. The union just doesn't believe in a cap system. Nothing they presented to me were that surprising to me. I mean, there's a lot of player compensation things and a little bit about, addressing the payroll disparity, trying to get those lower revenue teams to spend more. So the union didn't really surprise me, but certainly that 171 number from the league was kind of surprising.
Jesse, I'm not sure if you go across the country and you ask people in all these different baseball markets what they love, what they hate. For me, I think there's just one thing that sticks out is how do we just have a little bit more of a balance from a competition perspective? I get the players want to make as much money as they possibly can. Completely understand that. Do you see a world where from a payroll perspective that somebody that walks into a season, there just isn't this much of a discrepancy without a salary cap?
No, I don't. And it's probably going to get worse. It's not like the Dodgers are going to stop spending or Steve Cohen's going to stop spending. It's probably going to get worse. I mean, look, I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but the other 3 professional sports leagues have them and seem to be thriving. Though Tarek Skubal said to me today, if you talk to players in those leagues, they don't like their systems. But I'm not really talking about players. I'm talking about the leagues themselves seem to be thriving with some form of parity and balance. I mean, the NFL is the greatest example. In no world could Green Bay Packers exist if there was no cap. Right? So, again, but I also understand the other side. I think we all do. Would you and I would we love a cap on our business if we can only spend this much on media people? Nobody likes a cap, but we don't live in a world where parity is part and parcel to the existence of the league. Competition within professional sports is important to have. You just can't have one team dominating, which we're seeing right now. So it is different than anything outside of sports. I'm trying to not be on the league side because those are billionaires, right? Like, you don't want to totally take their side, but if you eliminate billionaires and millionaires and just look at parity and competitive balance, it does feel like the other leagues have it. And the one part, I'm sorry if I'm rambling, the one part on the union that I don't buy is we have competitive balance because look at how many small markets compete. Well, look, I'm based in Chicago. There's basically 8 small markets in the AL and NL Central, right? Just Chicago is the only big one. And so So every year they're sending teams to the playoffs, or at least contending for the playoffs by definition. So I don't buy that there's enough small market teams competing, because you're going to have automatically a bunch competing in the Midwest for sure. So that's my kind of long-winded take on it.
It's really good insight from Jesse Rogers.
Shed a tear. I agree with Jesse wholeheartedly.
Here's my question for you, Jesse. In 1994, we all know how this ends.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there was no World Series. There was the threat of a salary cap, and then we had the long strike and lockout situation. Is it different this time around? I mean, it's been so long since then, but like, what they didn't get done in 1994, could it get done in 2026? Or will once again the union draw the hard line and say, like they did in 1994, there will be no cap in baseball?
No, I think it's possible. You have to at least believe that it's possible if you're on the league side. One thing is the other three sports have been somewhat thriving. In other words, under their systems, there's been no work stoppages as of late. I think it's been over a decade. Yeah, over a decade since one of them had one. The cap is going up, and NBA players on the bench are making millions. A lot of people are doing well in those other systems. Not everybody. I agree with Scooble. It's not like, look, between a cap or no cap, players are going to want no cap. I get that. I totally get that. I think the league is a little bit smarter than 94 and a little more savvy. I mentioned throwing out the 171 number as the floor, that gains support. I think the next thing they will do or should do is either propose or leak, either one, what they want to do for young players in this sport. Because you have to remember, only 25% of players play 6 years or more in this game and get to free agency. 75% are done after like 4 or 5 years. So if you can incentivize those young players coming up, hey, instead of $750,000, you're going to make $2.5 million as a minimum, and then in year 2, that's going to bump up to $3.5 million. I mean, remember, from the league standpoint, if there's a cap, it's a finite amount of money. So it doesn't matter who gets it in their eyes; they don't care. But to get players on their side, you got to work through those young players, not the stars, because the stars are going to say no. But guys can make 10, 12 million in the span of 3 or 4 years, possibly, before their career is over. That's, I think, the way the league's going to try to work this thing.
Yeah, Jesse, it's interesting. And I know every market's going to look at it from their perspective. Obviously, in San Diego, we're in that NL West. We're seeing what the Dodgers are doing. And listen, I always try to say this, that even if there's a cap tomorrow, I think the Dodgers are run well. And I think the Dodgers will still be competitive. And I think the Dodgers will still compete for World Series. But, obviously it makes it so much harder for other squads to try to compete with that, because they have 5, 7, 10 different outs where it doesn't feel like other teams do. One of the things I don't think is getting talked about, and I have no idea how much of a conversation this is there any discussion about deferrals and what deferrals meant X amount of years ago to how they're being used today? I've heard somebody say that, hey, this is kind of a loophole in the system that teams have taken advantage of, specifically the Dodgers. What is the thought on the deferrals?
Yeah, I'm not completely sure. I do know for existing contracts, the league will bend over backwards to grandfather them in, to phase this whole thing in. If the union agrees to a cap, the league will do whatever it takes to get them there, even if it takes 3 years. So that's for existing contracts. I would assume in a cap system, if there are deferrals, the full amount goes against you on the cap, right? Because otherwise that's a way around the cap system. Mm-hmm. But I just don't know if they're going to just say no to deferrals, or yes, but you can pay out as long as you want in the future, but the full amount is going to hurt you on the cap, because that's the only way you could do it.
Right.
So I just don't know. Yeah, I just don't know the answer to some of those particulars. But the big picture, the league will do whatever it takes to get this thing through across the finish line. I think is something we should keep in mind, and it benefits players and it doesn't, because, like I said, it's still a finite number of dollars. So the league doesn't care how it's split up. And that's why I think younger players would be interested in getting more of the pie. And then the leftover, I don't know if it's the leftovers for the younger players or the leftovers for the stars, because everyone's got a different perspective on it. But that's what the league is thinking.
Jesse, my final question would just be about the idea of pooling TV revenue, right? Like putting all the local revenue together and then equally distributing it for the clubs. if you were able to get that across the finish line, would that then still require a salary cap? Because at that point, you're giving the Pittsburgh Pirates a similar amount of television revenue or identical revenue, it seems like the New York Yankees.
So that's an interesting point. And so this is my answer in theory on this. I think that's the trade-off. In other words, if the Dodgers are going to give up their TV money, the Dodgers actually want a cap. And I think honestly, Steve Cohen and Hal Steinbrenner want a cap so they can save themselves from themselves. Because when you run a team in a big market, you have pressure to sign free agents. The Yankees are required to go after every single one, at least discuss it. So are the Dodgers, and so are the Mets. That's the pressure of the fan base, and the Cubs are in that class as well. And I think with a cap, they're let off the hook a little bit, and maybe rightly so. I mean, should they be signing every big name free agent for 10 years and $400 million? That usually ends badly, and probably will with the Phillies, for example, soon enough. So I think the big markets want the cap as much as anyone. And I'll go as far as to say, and I know Andrew Friedman pretty well. I don't know the answer to this. I wonder if he wants to compete on the same level playing field as everyone else to prove that his systems and processes aren't just about money, that we can win this with the same similar payroll that the Marlins and the Rays and everyone else. I think that deep down, he wants that opportunity. Again, he had it in Tampa. Now he's had money. They've won with it. I think he wants to do it without some money too, just to prove that he can.
That's such an interesting point, Jesse, because I think there is, and it's the reason why I pointed it out. From the beginning, I've said this and I'll say it again. The Dodgers are obviously ran well. And to go get Andrew Friedman and put him in your front office was a very smart move by Dodgers ownership. But I think what you said there at the end, I'm sure there's a piece of a lot of fans out there saying, well, are you buying a championship? Are you this? I mean, whether they should care about that or not, that's, obviously that's debatable. But that's such an interesting point that in a weird way, he'd love to prove that he can do it even with an equal playing field. That's interesting. I've never heard that one before.
His analogy, when you ask him how do the small markets like Milwaukee and even Tampa when he's there, how did they get it done? The way he speaks about it is pretend like you're a doctor. In LA, he has to be a doctor of the whole body. He has to be an expert on the whole body. In Tampa or Milwaukee, you just have to be an expert on one part of the body. Be a knee expert. Be the best knee doctor there is in the country, and if you can do that and succeed, you can win. And the analogy with the knee might be analytics. Be the best at analytics, or be the best at player development. And you think, well, why can't everybody do that? Because they don't have to do that. They have money to spend on players. So I think he wants to be a knee doctor again. I really do. I think he wants to deep down just be that guy with player development or acquisition and show everybody that the Dodgers can win a different way.
Jesse, a fabulous insight for our listeners. Really appreciate you taking time. We know it's going to be a busy year on and off field covering this story in Major League Baseball as well. But thank you so much for taking time for us in San Diego.
You got it, guys. Be well.
All right. Great stuff there from Jesse Rogers. You've got one more chance to get your talkbacks in. Tell us who's going to win Game 7. All right. That's all you have to do. By doing that, you can win a pair of tickets to see Chicago at the San Diego County Fair on June 10th. All you have to do is tell us who wins tomorrow, San Antonio or Oklahoma City. Open the iHeartRadio app, search for San Diego Sports 760, click the red talkback mic, tell us who's going to win, and you could win a pair of tickets to see Chicago June 10th at the San Diego County Fair. Putting a bow on the show, plus an update from Nationals Park where the Padres and Nats are underway in Game 1 of their 3-game series. That's next. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, final time today. Schaefer and Sliwa, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. Now, we're giving away tickets next week as well, aren't we, guys? We got the San Diego County Fair tickets next week, Alan, to give away.
Yeah, next week as well. So we'll be dishing these things out.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be a fun event. You and I will make it happen this summer. We're going to go too.
We're definitely going to go to the San Diego County Fair. So we were watching this Padres-Nats game play out. It's been, can I use the word entertaining? The reason I say that is this. The Padres have scored runs. They've scored 4 runs on 7 hits in 5 innings. The caveat is the Nats have scored 5 runs on 7 hits in 5 innings. So I guess entertaining because we've seen offense, but the Padres trying to avoid a 5-game losing streak tonight, trail by 1 into the 6th.
We need the 2 to connect, right?
But the pitching and the hitting.
Yes.
And
that has not been the case. And obviously for the Padres down 5-4 now, the only thing I'll take back from that inning, that awkward play from Laureano in right.
Oh, that cost him a run. I forgot about that. There was a ball that he should have camped underneath, and he overran it.
Yeah, overran it, tried going back.
Catch the ball for whatever reason.
Catch the ball, so, and instantly that ends up costing them a run. So they're down 5-4 right now. And I still think, you and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. This becomes such a, I know we could say this how many different times during a season, but because they're struggling and the Nationals are not the Phillies, a team that's been playing great ball over the course of the last month, or they're not the Brewers, or they're not, they're not one of these. It feels like this series, you got to take 2 of 3 to kind of get yourself lined back up again. Just get a little bit of momentum again.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing with baseball is that, like, you'd hate to give up the fact that you were 10 or 11 games over 500 quickly. Like, it feels like you did all that work and you have that equity. And then if, for example, if you lose this series, let's just say you lose 2 of 3 in this series, very possible, obviously. You're 6 games over 500. And at one point you were 11 games up. All of a sudden you go to Philly and you don't play well and you're 5 games over 500.
And you were 11 games over 500 about 2 weeks ago.
Even prior to this 4-game losing streak. Because you've gone from 11 to 7 over the last 4 games.
Yeah, that's right.
So you just hate to give it all up like quickly. And they haven't done that as of yet. And by the way, I look around the National League every single day. I look at the standings every day.
Mm-hmm.
And the National League is better than the American League by record. There's a lot of teams over 500 right now. So the Padres, even with their good start by record, they're in the thick of things with like 8 or 9 teams right now.
So here's I'm gonna look at one other thing I want to see here real quick.
Okay.
But here's the one thing I pay attention to. And as we look at, a lot of people would say that, hey, did the Padres, were they able to kind of get off to this good start? How much did it have to do with their actual schedule? How much did it have to do with the types of teams that they were playing? So let me kind of go through this here real quick with you.
Okay.
When you're done with the Nationals, you go back to Philly. Philadelphia right now, couple games over 500. Remember, at one point, they were 10 games below 500, and they just swept you at Petco Park. You got a series against the Mets. We know the Mets are, obviously struggling this season. No question about that. That's not a question. That's, nothing to really pay too much attention to there. Cincinnati Reds over 500. You got the Reds after that. I don't know where Baltimore is. Baltimore pretty bad. Yeah, they're pretty bad. Let's put it this way. You're going to have a stretch coming up here where you go Atlanta, LA, Chicago, LA, Arizona.
Yeah, that's legitimate. You're gonna have to do more than they've done, obviously, here recently.
You're going to play the Dodgers 7 times over a course of about 10 days.
That's the late June, early July.
Yep. You're going to play Atlanta before that for a 3-game set, Chicago in between, Arizona for a 4-game set. So, again, we as we watch the Padres, you got to at least take advantage of the teams you're supposed to beat. They're supposed to beat the Nationals.
Yeah, and this was the series. We started our conversation today with Kevin Acee saying, hey, is this the series at least where the offense gets right? I now am more further convinced that is a possibility.
Yeah, you called that out. You called that out.
They really struggle to score at home. It can be hard to score at Petco. We've seen that play out over the years. Dude, the Nats pitching coupled with the ballpark, Padres this weekend need to be able to score 7, 8, 9 runs consistently. And maybe they will based on what we're seeing play out right now in game 1 of the series.
Did you see
5 runs?
Did you see Fermin's average right now? Did you see it? Like they just showed it. Did you see?
No.
What do you think it is?
149 because we 149.
I'm going to double check here. 137.
It doesn't get worse than that, right?
137. Why was I excited about him to start this year? I was excited. I was excited for Fermin. I was excited. Some of the players that they got, that you got at last year's deadline, you got excited about because you thought, all right, you know what? Be able to bring some of these guys back. Laureano, Fermin, obviously Mason Miller is going to be he's under control. Fermin has just been you thought the lineup would be able to go deeper. That has not been the case at all.
You know who they really miss is Luis Campusano. Because, the Duran cat's been a nice story. He's also hitting something.
But think about the Campusano. Think about before the season started, if you were saying, who the Padres missed? Sure. They missed Luis Campusano, but you're right. He was good.
I mean, he was, I don't know, he was hitting 300, over 300. Like, he was a consistent offensive producer for them.
He was.
By the way, where is he? He's been out for forever. We didn't even mention this, by the way. Jake Cronenworth apparently is still suffering from concussion-like symptoms as he ramps up. So that he's, I think, had maybe even like a setback, so to speak. He's not coming back any day now. He hasn't hit. I don't know what the latest with Luis Campusano is, but I'd like to see him because of all these issues they're experiencing.
By the way, even Cronenworth, I'd love to see Cronenworth back as well.
I'd like to see Jake Cronenworth healthy, but listen, we said when they lost 4 straight at Petco and couldn't score against the Phillies, like, is this really who their offense is going to be all year? It's going to be better. Is that going to be enough? I don't know the answer to. It's going to be better than what we saw the last 4 days at Petco Park. And it has been to this point tonight.
Well, the good thing you could say when they're in a dogfight, which they are right now, they're tied at 5. The only good thing I think you can kind of point to, later innings, you're going to have your guys.
Got your guys.
Definitely have them available because it's not like you were using them. You had the day off yesterday. So I think the advantage does go to San Diego, but let's see if they can pull this out. They're going to need to give themselves a lead to where they can make that happen.
The one thing I'm going to try to speak into existence is the long ball for Tatis this weekend. Is this the weekend? I just want to close my eyes. I'm watching it. I'm seeing it.
When did you become so zen?
Right?
It's very zen of you.
I'm sensing.
I felt like today you had a little bit more of a zen approach to the show.
Yeah.
And it was specifically for Tatis?
No, just really for me.
Honestly. Just for you. Okay. That's selfish.
Yeah. By the way,
that's selfish.
This is great. It's my first grader, my son Jones, is out of first grade's over May 29th. They keep moving this up. When you were a kid in El Cajon, were you getting out of school May 29th?
No, it was probably June, mid-June, maybe something like that.
That's how I was. They keep moving this thing up.
Yeah.
What's the math on that to keep moving it up?
I don't know, but how great was it that? So do we? Yeah, I haven't gone through a summer here yet. Do we get summers off, or is that not?
Oh, at work? Yeah, we do it. Yes, of course.
So when is our last until the fall?
Oh, we still have another week.
Got
we
1 week
stick around for another week,
and then 1 week left.
Then we get our 11 or 12 weeks off.
Okay, makes sense.
Really nice. They just air the best
How
of.
Badass was that when you were in school?
Oh, was there a better feeling?
You get 90 days off?
How about college? It's from May 5th to September. It's 4 months off. It's unbelievable. All right, great stuff here today. If you missed anything, you can go to sportssd.com or the iHeartRadio app. Back Monday for Brent and Alan. I'm John. This is Schaefer and Sliwa. We'll see you Monday.
Have a great
San
weekend.
Diego Sports 760. We're live on the iHeartRadio app. Peace.